who the favourites were.
KT roster.
Welcome back everybody to the play SKT Spring Split 2019 playoff round 2. We're going to be having a pre-show analysis joined by Mina Kim, Victory, and Captain Jack. And this is season with today's preview analysis translation. This is the day. So let's check out the playoff series schedule.
킹존이 담원을 잡고 오늘 SKT를
Kingzone took down Damwon Gaming and they're now facing up against SK Telecom. It was a very clean game and they also used 15 different champions, so we can indeed say they are the most sexy team in LCK. Today we are really looking forward to this series, SKT versus Kingzone. There are a lot of rivalry going on, so I just can't wait to see. Today's winner will go to the finals up against Griffin. So these are the team stats. Overall, SK Telecom is indeed strong in the early games. They are picking up a lot of dragons and they have the most Rift Arrows taken. And also their KDA looks really clean and nice. However, Kingzone, their stats differs from round 1, round 2, and also playoffs. So they are keep rising and rising. So we cannot just decide who's going to win watching to the team stats. And Captain Jack saying that SK Telecom actually stays in the cards that they are feeling comfortable with, and which is kind of proven on stage. But Kingzone, they keep trying different team compositions, such as Morgana Pike duo. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of cards they're about to bring today. So put it short, SK Telecom shows a lot of experience with the champions they're comfortable and confident with, and Kingzone, they're always trying some new cards and new champions and show some unexpected plays to the team. So we can say it's going to be a really close match, and let's take a look at the match record. Well, recently SK Telecom is in a lead, but taking a look at some historical results, actually Kingzone is definitely in a lead. So, however, speaking of this spring split, SKT was always taking down Kingzone, so they are ahead in a match record for this year. And, well, actually there was a law that whenever SKT goes to the finals, they always won, but Kingzone was the one to stop that rule, and they were the first one to win SK Telecom in the LCK finals. Interestingly, Khan was in both Kingzone DragonX and moved to SK Telecom, so that's going to be an interesting top lane matchup as well. And let's take a look at the highlights of round 1 and 2 between SK Telecom and Kingzone DragonX. This is the first match in the first round robin.
주거니 받거니
This is
하는
the highlight of FLICKR
끝에
with his
3세트까지
Lissandra, his
갔었어요.
engagement.
지금 이 경기에는 페이커의 리산드라가 엄청나게 활약하는
It was
모습이었고요.
very dominating in this team fight.
참 거기다가 이제 킹존이 필살기성으로
So
꺼내는
they actually
간식 플레이가 또 이 당시에
tried
한수
very interesting
위의 어떤
the
이해도를 보여주면서 많은
crypto
화제가 됐었는데
crossmancy
그에
strategy,
맞춰서
but SK Telecom was able to kind of counterplay against it in game 2 and 3.
굉장히 빠르게 그 부분에 있어서 화해하는 모습도 나오는 등
And this was unstoppable Confiora over here. He was playing 1v9 and taking down Nexus on his own.
킹존을 뚫었습니다.
그때 당시에는 이제 사일러스를 탑에서 많이 썼었는데
And that was the meta when Silas was a very mainstream champion in top lane.
이 경기도 뭐 킹존이 약간 불리한 템포도 있긴 있었지만 이 자야가 워낙 성장을 잘했었기 때문에 한타는
The FLICKR LeBlanc super play, he was able to survive taking so much aggro and taking down so much damage dealers, and then he just survived going back and forth. Got it, nice from Mara.
진짜 페이커 선수의 핑퐁에 많은 분들이 깜짝 놀랄 수밖에 없었어요.
And this is Steph having is one of the hardest times as an AD carry player.
대표 선수가 좀 고생을 많이 했어요. 네. 사실 KDA만으로 놓고 보면은 이번
Well, speaking of KDA, his KDA was really looking good, but this will be probably the worst game for him.
하지만 이걸 통해서 킹존도 분명히 배우고
But throughout this experience, I think Kingzone has learned a lot and improved a lot.
팀이기 때문에 SKT가 이번에도 좀 바텀을 노리지 않을까요?
Will SKT give another hard time to the bot laners in Kingzone?
경계를 올리는 한편
Well, they do have Kingzone does have this experience, so maybe they are now fully ready for it. And now Kingzone, the players in the top side has improved so much. So all the 5 players are the key players right now. So I don't really think that SK Telecom will just solely focus on the bot laners. This is the key players of each team. Play it versus Cuz in jungle.
상승세가 대단하기 때문에 기대가 됩니다. 특히 클리드 선수는 초반에 선취점을 만들어내는 게 1위.
His participation in the first blood is number 1, so we'll be looking forward to him making some plays in the early stage. And also because his performance has been keep rising, so we'll be looking forward to it. And the most interesting thing is that their champion pool is really different. The champions that Clid prefers is Lee and J4. However, Cuz has been using a lot of different champions, and also he's really he really prefers a lot of Rek'Sais and Gragas, so there isn't much similarities in terms of their champion pool. And this is the historical rivalry over here, FLICKR versus Pawn. Their rivalry has been going on since 2013 and up until now.
페이커 옆에 놔도 상대 전장에서는 페이커가 앞설 수밖에 없어요. 그
Speaking of the
와중에
match
어쨌든
record, FLICKR
중요
is in the
무대에서
lead,
폰
but
선수가 페이커
you
선수를
know
상대로
it's
좋은 경기를 보여줬던 게 있기 때문에
okay to
두
say
선수가
they
이렇게
are
나란히
rivals
많은
because they
팬분들의
have
지지를
been
각각 받으면서
facing up
이
against
중요한
each other in such a
키플레이어가
big
되는
stages in MSI and Worlds. So today's match is gonna be all about mid laner. There will be so much hype.
정말 기세가 상당하기 때문에 이 대결도 아주
Especially Pawn, his performance has been rising throughout the split, so it's gonna be a really close one today.
플레이어까지 살펴봤는데요. 이제 돌아왔습니다. 그 시간. 네, 승부 예측해봐야겠죠?
What's your guess, Captain Jack and Bittori?
저는 이번 승부 예측 SKT가 3대1로 이기지 않을까.
It's gonna be 3-0 victory over SK Telecom.
우선 제일 큰 이유는
First of all, the biggest reason is that
Kingzone, 올라가고 있는
they are on their journey and they have exposed some of their cards. So SKT is in a lead in terms of information. They have been watching this and they had a lot of time to prepare. So in terms of draft, I think SKT has to be in the lead, so his expectation goes to SK Telecom.
네, 알겠습니다. 자, 빗돌님은요?
What about you, Bittori?
저도 비슷한 의견이긴 게
I have a very similar opinion. First of all, it's gonna be a very close game. So 3-2 victory to SK Telecom.
기존에 보여줬던
But
경기가
Kingzone,
섹시하다는 느낌이 들
you
정도로
know, they did
완벽한
show us some
개인적인
sexy
뱀픽과
performances
인디플레이가
and
같이
they have very coming up with
거기서
unique
느껴지는 건
draft.
상대 팀에 대한 철저한 분석을 바탕으로 본인들이 과감하게 새로운
And I feel like they have analyzed a lot of their opponents, but today it's versus SK Telecom, and they have been exposing a lot of their new strategies and cards. So it will be hard for Kingzone to kind of analyze them and prepare. However, Kingzone is in a very good momentum. However, SK Telecom will be showing their some force as a stronger team in the best of 5 series.
네, 그만큼 지금 플레이오프가 아주 치열하게 흘러가고 있다고.
We're gonna find out who's gonna get the answer today.
알겠습니다. 자, 오늘은 어떨지 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 이제 결승 진출이 정말 코앞입니다. SKT와 킹존 팀 모두 힘내시길 바랍니다. 자, 경기 시작할게요.
아무래도 FA 시장을 가장 뜨겁게 달궜던 팀이라고 볼 수 있는 게 SKT인데
드림컵
그렇죠.
예, 그렇죠. 검증의 선수들이 다 모였습니다. 이런 건 SKT
진짜 멋져요. 그리핀을 잡아낸다면 SKT 쭉쭉 더 올라갈 수 있는 겁니다.
그렇습니다. 9구로 넘어갔어요. 네. 9구로 넘어갔어요. 아직은 어나더 레벨 유효하다. 억울하면 강해져라. 네. 그런 거 눈에 보이는 세부에 이해 차이. 여기 제대로 찾아냈습니다. 갈 데가 없습니다. 위로만 옆으로 보는 전부 SK텔레콤만 있어야 내가 SK텔레콤 빵킬이에요. 빵킬. 이대형 완전히 받았어요. 쇼메이커. 전투력이 마무리 났어요. 게임으로 들어가고 있지.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SKT versus Kingzone. We're here for the semifinals. It's me, Valdez, with LaSnack LS. As always, we're going to be bringing you one hell of a best of 5. Should be incredibly entertaining. As you guys did just see, though, Kingzone did lose to only one team in round 2, and that was SKT, so they're looking for their revenge tonight.
Yeah, and Kingzone and SK Telecom, this is a pretty premier matchup in that both of these teams have been looking so strong in the second round of the spring split, and they've been ramping up so much to the point where a lot of people would probably say that either one of these teams could even be considered the favorite, potentially, against Griffin in the finals next week.
Yeah.
And Kingzone, it used to just be sort of Defton friends, but in recent weeks, a lot of the other team members have really stepped up, and they're proving to be a force to be reckoned with. And Pawn, he's someone that I had criticized a lot throughout the split as well as in the past, but he's really turned on a new leaf, basically, and become a different kind of mid laner here. And so we're going to have to see what Kingzone are going to bring to the table here against SK Telecom, as I do think that they will have their work cut out for them. SK Telecom is definitely not going to be a pushover by any means.
Yeah.
And what is the meta going to have in store for us?
You saw it there. It's best of 5, so SKT, but they're good. Is the weighted one there for Kingzone. The king of round 2 was Kingzone, and only their scratch.
I like that.
Okay.
That is...
that's something we put up there. And Kingzone and their one loss was up against SKT. So that to me is definitely a big story. Also, Kingzone up against Damwon, they destroyed them. I mean, that was probably one of the most one-sided best of 5s we've had in a long time. They made them look like they weren't even in the same tournament. It was insane how well Kingzone did in their matchup against Damwon, but certainly a stronger opponent will be waiting for them here in the semifinals.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And is Pawn going to finally get a death tonight? That's one of the big questions here in the playoffs. And like what you were mentioning, they had extremely quick games against Damwon. And SK Telecom, they like to get aggressive and fight as well. So perhaps we'll just have very explosive early and mid games without really getting to the late stages. And even though Kingzone struggled against SK Telecom last time, if you watch the games, there were definitely points where it could have gone either way. I feel like in this series tonight, though, Deft versus Teddy will still be one of the main focal points. I'm not as convinced by FLICKR versus Pawn, because I do think that Kingzone does look very different when Deft comes out of laning phase, even or ahead. If he does end up getting put behind, I think it dramatically changes the entire face of the Kingzone game.
Absolutely. I mean, we were even talking about it before. Well, actually, I'm going to hold that thought. Let's jump into the interviews.
So I've been watching since Wildcard, and we analyzed who's coming up, what kind of plays they make, what are lack of, so we did prepare a lot. Well, speaking of Kingzone rising performance, we are also rising as well, so we're not really too concerned about them. I just hope that our players don't get too nervous. Kingzone showing so many different champions previously. Well, our coaching staff, Zefa, Fly, they are also amazing coaches, and our players also have huge champion pools, so I don't feel too much pressure about that. Well, we weren't able to reach the finals for a long time, so I really want to pick up a victory today and see SKT at the finals. And I've been through all the different hardships, and it's really important to win this and go to the finals, so I just want to show great performance. And I heard that Kingzone is doing really well, but well, I think as long as we perform good, it won't be a hard game for us. So we just want to show how hard we prepared. And I also heard that Pawn is on his best form, but I'm also super confident, so I'm not paying too much attention to our mid lane competition. I'm actually instead I'm paying attention to a competition as a whole team versus Kingzone. And the newly joined teammates are doing so well up until now, so I have a good feeling that we're going to do well in this playoffs. And my goal is to win the spring split, so I want to make sure to win and show great performance to the fans. Let's go SKT. Well, the score, the game process, the results are looking good, and we are accomplishing some goals that we have set, and we are keeping evolving, so it's really encouraging. Well, speaking of 5 different champions in the previous game, I think we need a certain situation to bring some of the cards. So if SKT shows some of the patterns that we expect, we'll be able to show more of our pocket picks. Well, it might not be perfect, but I think we'll give it a try. And we did always lose up against SK Telecom, but we also learned a lot at the same time, so we were able to always improve and step up. So I hope it's gonna be an exciting game, and I hope that our players can learn a lot. Well, our performance at the Diamond Series was really good, but our game score was also really clean, so I think we still have a lot of cards in our hands to show up against SK Telecom. But so it's really important to take them down in terms of spring split, but speaking of summer split, we really need the experience of defeating SK Telecom. And since Mara joined SKT, I actually haven't seen him performing aggressively in the laning phase, so I think we might win the laning phase, and also our players on the top side, our mid jungle proximity is looking good, so I believe today is very winnable. And all the teammates and all the coaching staff were working so hard to reach up here, but I just don't want to settle for now. I really want to perform as hard as I can and reach the finals. Let's go Kingzone.
Thank you, Jisun, the based rap god, for that translation. Fantastic stuff to hear from all of those guys. Very important players, key players, and the coaches from the both sides here on the Rift. So let's go ahead and introduce the teams as Khan and Rascal, they're walking down the aisle.
I think that they're about to get married in top lane. What we're seeing here is an agreement that no junglers will come top. They're just going to be left on an island.
1v1 only.
Yeah.
No cheating by getting help.
What if they sat down on the other team?
Yeah, why didn't he sit next to Khan?
Yeah,
they were getting married.
Yeah, I thought they were. Well, it was very short.
Yeah, now we're going to introduce our junglers. As you guys may have heard of these, 2, Clid and Cuz. Clid from SK Telecom, Cuz from Kingzone. The both of them having a really nice spring 2019, in my opinion.
definitely could be a focal point of the matchup, is what will happen between Clid and Cuz, and what type of jungler picks are they going to be on. The meta's in an interesting spot right now, where champions like Sylas do have to be considered. Snail is also someone that we have to look out for. She can take a little while to get going, but we'll have to see if she ends up coming through.
Yeah.
FLICKR and Pawn look to take their seats.
The only two guys in the world that have won both MSI and Worlds, so kind of interesting that we did have that graphic go up here. The two champions themselves, both debuting in 2013 as well. That's going to be a big focal point of this game, but also we will have to mention this matchup, Teddy versus Deft. Our two big Ezreal players, two of them here in the LCK, and two of the best AD carries, if not the best, that we do have in LCK.
Yeah, this is, I mean, that's definitely the big question is, where do they stand worldwide as well? Teft and Teddy, I can't speak
Teft
today.
and Teddy.
The allergies are just getting to me, Valdez. That's what Teddy and Dev are two of the best ADCs in the world, and like you're mentioning, Ezreal is potentially a very high priority pick that we could end up seeing here in tonight's game, as they are both Ezreal enthusiasts.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the last time Teddy played Ezreal, he kind of just went 1v9, and it was really scary, incredibly scary what that guy can do on that pick. Of course, for the support matchup as well, Tucson versus Mata, going to be a big one. It's interesting to hear from Deft, as G-Sun was translating, that he said it doesn't feel like Mata's playing very aggressive down in the bottom lane ever since joining SKT, so maybe they can get the advantage in that bottom lane.
Well, we'll have to see what kind of bottom lanes will be coming out here. SK Telecom, interestingly, starting on the blue side. And so Kingzone, they will have their counter picks available if they choose to use them. For top and mid traditionally tend to be where the counter picks come in on this current meta. There's a lot of power picks available inside of those lanes. But will Sylas get through the ban phase? Or Lissandra, or any of those kind?
Yeah, and all these questions to be answered and more, as looks like we're almost ready to hop into pick and ban.
And Korea's been a little bit slower to adapt and change the meta as opposed to some of the other regions, especially in the mid lane, as well as the top lane. And so we'll see if that remains true here today for both of these teams, as we are about to jump right into the pick ban. But first, the flags are going to drop down.
Yep, got to get the flags just to, reconfirm after seeing the players walk out one by one who exactly is going to be playing here. And we do have a bunch of subs, actually, on both teams, more on SKT. But these guys just, like, never play. So you can imagine that it is just going to be these 5 versus the other 5, and probably nobody else.
Yeah, I'm extremely doubtful that we'll see any of the subs come out tonight, especially in such a high-profile match that both of these teams obviously want to win so that they can go on to the finals to face Griffin next week. And we are jumping into the pick ban. We're going to have to see what is in the window. It's going to be Rek'Sai banned away. Kalista now following by Kingzone. This does mean that you don't have to try to ban away the holy trinity of supports. Galio, Alistar. SK Telecom now banning the Ryze. This could indicate a desire to get the Lissandra as a first pick. Kingzone responding with the Lee Sin against Clid.
Probably a good idea. Clid is one of our masters of Lee Sin. You don't necessarily want to let him have that, but that is a crucial ban on red side that they are going to spend to disallow him to go into that. Take a look at that. Orin being banned in the first 3.
And this was one of the things that some people had worried about with the 9.6 meta, is that through all the practicing and whatnot, it is gravitating more and more towards tanks in the top lane, and so that could prove to be a little bit problematic for Khan potentially, and it would also allow a little bit weaker of top laners to contend with him much easier. And so Orin being banned away. Jace is on the table, but they didn't elect to take it right away, instead opting for the J4. And Galio's still available, but Kingzone picking the Tom super early.
And they're thinking a lot about what they're going to follow that up with. They don't want to reveal AD carry just yet. They want to prioritize something else. And Akali comes out. You mentioned Jace and other picks still left available, but high priority on the Akali pick.
They could just get Galio Lissandra right now, and they can have the holy trinity of engages right there.
Yeah.
Lissandra engage followed up by Jarvan with a Galio ultimate, and it's looking real good against Kingzone's current 2 picks. Especially even the ability to flex Lissandra top lane and maybe make FLICKR go on Galio mid is definitely not something out of the realm of possibilities, but there is the Lissandra. I think that the best choice right now is to accompany this with a Galio pick, unless you're going to try to abuse the Tahm Kench in bottom lane, but that's not something we've seen Korean teams tend to try to do. They normally just tend to shake hands on Tahm Kench versus Braum in the bottom lane. What is
Braum? Yeah, and you can see that they prioritize the Jace pick that you were mentioning a lot more, and up against that Lissandra, we are going to see once again the Corki come out, a extremely popular pick into that lane, because you essentially just get to free farm and hit those items really quick, buy that cull on first back, and be a happy Corki.
So we are seeing the Corki. It has popped up as well in other regions. It is the answer to the Lissandra. He does scale quite well, makes it a little bit difficult for Lissandra to get onto him, and now as we're moving into the second ban phase, Vayne now being targeted. Tahm Kench is already selected, so it's definitely most likely going support, although I am a little bit skeptical as Rascal's summoner spells are Flash Ghost. And so I'm a little bit curious. There is a, this is a little bit out there, but there is a very high elo Tahm Kench top player that runs Flash Ghost as his rune choices.
Is that Rascal?
No. I actually blank on what his name is. I think that it's in Korean, but he runs Flash Ghost, Grasp of the Undying on Tahm Kench, and he plays it top at Challenger on the Korean server.
Must be your Smurf then.
No.
Well, it's not him.
It's just making me think that maybe that we could be seeing something extremely unorthodox such as that, but probably not. Ezreal banned away by SK Telecom. I guess they don't want to go up against the Corki Jace, as Kingzone do have first dibs on what they want to pick. Galio banned away. I do think like that is the best choice.
See the Jax ban too. Most likely aimed at Cuz in the jungle, you would have to imagine. Okay.
Oh, man. Vi.
Kingzone bringing out the stops for this best of 5, the first Vi of 2019 here in Korea.
So the Vi is interesting for me because the mid laner's going to have a lot of priority with the Corki, and that's going to be Akali in the top lane unless we see something wonky like Deft going on the Corki down in bottom lane. And so the Vi, though, is going to have an awfully hard time going into SK Telecom. They still didn't pick their support, and so now the Braum ends up coming in. There is massive amounts of CC and defensiveness on the side of SK Telecom that makes me ponder how exactly is Vi going to delete any of these champions or truly threaten them. As SK Telecom, they lock in the Varus Braum down there in bottom lane. So they will have poke available to them in the form of Jason Varus if they want it, but also massive amounts of engage and defensive ability. As Xayah now being hovered by Kingzone, instead they're going to move it over to Sivir right at the very end.
Very interesting to finish up that way. Does mean that they can get into that fight real quick, as well as escape from some of the engage that SKT does have. It allows Vi, a champion that can, wants to get into that backline and engage, just a little bit more potential to close the gap.
Definitely very interesting team compositions here. I have to think, though, that moving out of the draft phase, that SK Telecom are just in such a better position here. And the reason that I say that is Corki, we can see Pawn opting for the cleanse there in mid lane. SK Telecom, they have such power in all of their lanes. Clit is just going to have so much more freedom than Cuz in this early into mid-game transition. And then the late game that Kingzone have going for them isn't super powerful when you think about how their comp is going to come together against the SK Telecom team composition. As we look at the team comps one more time, Varus, Braum, Lissandra, Jarvan the Fourth, and Jace. They have a lot of gears available to them. They have massive mid-game wake-up, and the defensive tools that they have available is very good against the Vi and Akali on the side of Kingzone, but we can talk about what Kingzone's trying to do here as we take a look at their draft. Akali, Vi, Corki, Sivir, and Tahm Kench, they're looking to go late, which is a little bit interesting. They're looking to come online at 3-4 items. They're going to try to have priority in mid lane as bot is going to be an island, and Vi's going to have her work cut out for her.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. I'm really excited to see how that Vi is going to work here as we hop onto the Rift for game number 1 of SKT versus Kingzone to start off this best of 5. Off we go on a magical journey into this best of 5. We saw the analyst predictions from the analyst desk. It was 3-1 from Captain Jack, and I believe it was 3-0 from BitDory. But I was actually thinking 3-2 for SKT. It's hard not to favor SKT, especially the last time these two teams did face each other. It was a 2-0, and it was quite one-sided to the side of SKT. So even though Kingzone did demolish Damwon, does feel like they have a new beast in front of them.
Well, I'm definitely not going to rule out the possibility of a 3-2 occurring, but I will say that I think that if SK Telecom go up 2-0, I think it's going to definitely be a 3-0, but I wouldn't say the same for Kingzone. I think if Kingzone got up 2-0, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for SK Telecom to come back. And that's just basically a read on how the team has conducted itself under pressure or when things aren't going their way sometimes inside of the games. So we'll have to see what is going to happen here. FLICKR actually has a relatively good first wave. Pawn mismanaging it a little bit. And Cuz has the Aftershock on Vi.
Yeah, I'm definitely a proponent of if your champion can use Aftershock, you should use it, as it's pretty strong. It's a good rune for sure. She is going to be the only one on their team that has it. Of course, Lissandra will also pick it up, as we do have the runes there at the bottom. Anything strike your eye? Anything interesting there, Alice? As early flash actually does come out, as Def was saying they should be winning in that bottom lane, but already he had to flash.
Yeah, already things are starting off on a little bit of a rough foot. And in mid lane, people are picking Corki against Lissandra, but the way that people are piloting him inside of the mid lane, as well as you can see here that Pawn has to take the cleanse, things just aren't looking that good for the Corki. And he's going to need to make me a believer here in this game, as already SK Telecom's lanes are doing exactly what they want to do without much pushback. And you can see from the HP and the mana bar in mid lane that FLICKR is very, very happy with this current lane state. He actually could have shoved out this wave a lot faster, used all of his mana and recalled, and found himself with a cheater recall as the cannon wave.
Oh boy.
It's gone. And bottom lane getting very frisky down there as Cuz has elected for a full clear. And I like this. He recognizes he can't do anything in mid or top lane. There's no point in trying to gank. The only type of gank that he would be able to get away with would be a pressure gank. But there's a lot more that has to align for those type of things to work.
We did see the last time that Vi was played, it was by score in 2015. 1,318 days ago. And I did not expect today to be the day where it does come in, but Cuz, once again, bringing out all those pocket picks and weird stuff here, is going to start us off with the treat.
Everything seems to be even in the mid lane right now, although Lissandra does have priority as Cuz is continuing his route for a full clear, elected for the red smite very early on, as well as 2 control wards. So that tells me that he thinks that his laners are going to be able to get some priority in coming minutes so that those aren't entirely useless buys, as Clid is now pathing towards the left-hand side of the map.
What are your thoughts on this Varus pick? We haven't seen it all too much. I think it's seen about 12, 13 games so far in all of spring, which is actually not that much. There were a bunch of other picks on the table, but that Ezreal was banned alongside of the Kalista and Vayne. So I suppose the choices were kind of taken down a notch.
Well, the Varus pick is something that used to be popular. It tends to dip in and out of popularity. And the reasonings as to why, I'm not entirely sure. He's an extremely powerful pick that is able to get lane priority on a whim if he really needs it. He has the flexibility, being able to go into the lethality Varus or the attack speed on hit one. And so I think against this team composition, this is still the patch where I believe Wit's End not changed yet. So we will have the magic resistance via the Wit's End and able to amplify not only his but Lissandra's damage as well later in the game. I do believe that he should just be going for the attack speed on hit Varus. Although he looks like he wants to go Blade of the Ruin King first item, which is a little bit surprising because there's no tanks on the side of Kingzone.
For both of them up in the top lane, but Khan is out of mana and he flashes to the left side. First blood goes over to Rascal in the solo kill in top lane.
Yeah, without even having to expend his flash either.
Yeah.
Khan is now really far behind in the top lane after having secured himself a beautiful lane state with Cuz in such close proximity. This is going to be teleport for teleport, and Khan's going to have to fade a gank now. This is an absolutely terrible spot for the SKT top laner.
You can see he gets hit by the mini stun, and after that, just didn't have the mana. Walks down into the river, and then can't flash to safety to even get a flash either out of Rascal. So just felt like a little bit of a misread and a misplay, and Rascal just jumped right on him. Said, okay. And something about a tri-brush, but seems like the team is in high spirits, and they should be after taking on Damwon and now getting first blood against SKT.
And so Cuz didn't actually elect to gank top lane right away, and so Rascal coming off the teleport, he has the Seeker's Arm Guard and Amp Tome as well. Clid gonna go for a lane gank here against this Akali, as it looks like they want to guarantee that Khan is gonna be able to get plates on this Jace. No one else really able to secure themselves any plates across the map, and so this plate is going to offset some of the disadvantage that was incurred by giving up that first blood here in top lane.
We also did have Rascal starting Cloth 5. He had used all of his potions by the time he hit level 6. And I suppose that is one way to get through that Jace lane and hit level 6 and open up a chance really to get on top of him, as now Cuz is hiding in the pit here. He is level 6 and waiting for that scuttle, but
oh man.
Oh boy.
Oh, he's gonna.
Oh, he misses him, and
yeah.
Now it's gonna be 1v2 as he's in a bunch of trouble. Gonna get knocked straight into the Jarvan. Nice knock up there by Cuz. Is gonna flash, but the red buff is gonna take him down. See you later. As it looks like it wasn't actually the red buff, maybe the smite comes in, but either way, down in the bottom lane, more aggression coming out of Teddy and Mata. Nearly able to take Tucson out.
Yeah, and the thing about this aggression is it comes at such a good time, as 5 spellcasters now will be on the side of SKT. And so they have the option to permanently freeze it, but they don't seem like they want to take that. Looks like they just want to crash it. And so now, because Deft is sticking around, he should be able to get the wave. FLICKR alone is not going to be able to threaten a dive, and so Feels like a little bit of a blunder by SK Telecom. Def didn't have teleport available. He was completely out of mana. And you could have just froze on him because you had more spellcaster minions on a cannon wave. And they elected to push thinking that FLICKR alone would maybe be able to threaten a dive, but he couldn't, as Pawn was trailing him in very close proximity. And so even though they found themselves with a fantastic trade, the rewards just aren't as high as it could have been.
Absolutely, because thinking about helping up on the top side, doesn't have his flash or his ult yet, though, so would have been hard to make it stick, even with Khan and no TP. As FLICKR going in for this one, the cleanse is going to be burned immediately by Pawn, so he's going to be totally fine.
And so for some people looking at this right now, they might think, well, why would FLICKR do that if Pawn just has cleanse? They're obviously not going to be able to kill him. This is to set up for the future, as FLICKR's ultimate is going to come online faster than Pawn's cleanse will. And so, in a moment's time, eventually FLICKR's going to have that ultimate again, and Pawn is going to have to play very differently inside of the laning phase. So that ult was not intended to kill him, but it was intended to set up the kill a few moments from now.
Yeah. Also had Jarvan nearby in case Pawn wanted to get really frisky and go on in there, as once again, Klid is heading up towards the top side. He's level 6 now, level 7 in total, so does have the ability to throw that ult down, but it is an Akali with flash, so could be hard to lock her down.
I think Rascal should be good enough to read that Klid's in close proximity off that. That hammer form play by Khan just now really doesn't make any sense for the lane manipulation. And you can see that Rascal didn't take the bait, so excellent by him. Had he started and initiated a trade right there, things could have gone a little bit ugly. But I think that it was read as Khan definitely being out of character. The story was not congruent with how he had been playing the lane up until this point. And you can see, yeah, he senses something is amiss in top lane with the way that Khan is choosing to play these minion waves now.
Yeah. This is a second control ward that got deep into the blue side jungle, and the second one that is going to be cleared out. So Cuz doing a good job of making sure that he is not seen. We do have this first Drake that is a mountain, which could be really nice, actually, for both of these teams. See who jumps on that first.
I think if Kingzone end up getting it, it's not as impactful as if SK Telecom get it early, and the reason that I say that is because Kingzone's team comp doesn't come online until way later, so they're not in the market for turrets or trying to burst down a Baron at 20 minutes, especially not when they're already behind at this stage of the game. Whereas SK Telecom, they really need that mountain to threaten those very things and make sure that they can continue to accelerate against this Kingzone team comp.
Yeah, you can see
they're it for free.
Yeah, doing exactly that. You talked about the cleanse down, allows FLICKR to have more priority in mid, and also bottom lane is going heavily in SKT's favor. So they just walk into the river, clear out a couple of wards, and take it for free, essentially, as Kingzone are not going to bite the bait on taking any fights just yet. That's coming on in here as Rascal, always threatening now any kind of play. Was able to get the solo kill before Gunblade, obviously, but did have to delay it to pick up that arm guard just to survive a little bit better against all the Jace damage.
Now here in mid lane, Pawn has to be a lot more respectful of any claws that end up coming out, but he will have the cleanse available now, as FLICKR is looking to recall. Call was completed, though, by Pawn, so that's going to offset some of the CS gap currently present inside of the mid lane. And aside from that, Kingzone are only down 700 gold. They are down a mountain with a second one spawning. That is really unfortunate, to be completely honest. Double Mountain Drake that early on into the game, it enables macro rotations that you aren't normally supposed to be able to get away with. And it can be very frightening for the enemy team to dance around certain objectives, because it really just completely twists the way that the map can really be played. So SK Telecom, they're rolling like gods right now.
They really are one of the only RNG aspects of the game, but it does go in their favor this time around, as now Cuz going on this one. The package was picked up, and already the damage is really big onto Klid, who is quite low, and now down on the bottom side, Cleanse comes in. Medusa might have to flash this, is gonna get stunned up, and they're just gonna kill him before he can even get out of there or use the gray hell, as just the straight up 2v2 kill on the bottom side, but the Rift Herald does go the way of Cuz and Kingzone.
Yeah, and it was a straight up 2v2. Kingzone, they end up getting the Rift Herald, but one of the sad things about it is that the turret plates have already gone down. So Shelly, unfortunately, is just going to be able to get some dents onto one of the turrets. The unfortunate thing as well for Kingzone is that all of the turrets are extremely healthy, because Kingzone has never been able to push them. Oh, this is going to be potentially a play, but Tushen able to use the Abyssal Voyage to get back, and close proximity to the lane ends up dissuading FLICKR and friends.
Yeah. No wards were there, actually, from what you could see in the Tribrush, so they could have considered it. Now everything's going to be cleared out down in that bottom side. Wards put down, so it might be harder to make that happen. But just take a look at the poke damage that is just getting done essentially for free down in that bottom lane. The Varus pick really doing work for SKT in Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, DCS is okay. 175 here at 15 minutes. I mean, it's all right.
It's okay. It's not as good as FLICKR's.
Yeah, I'm not as impressed, because we can see there that FLICKR, a little bit of a lead.
Yeah.
Well, that got taken away.
As
yeah, more pressure being put onto this bottom lane, and this is not what you want to have happening for your Sivir and Tahm Kench, as it looks like first turret is going to go the way of SK Telecom.
Quite easily as well. They just bring the jungler down. It looks like Cuz now trying to make a play up here on the top side as Rascal's going in. He lands that shuriken.
Yeah, just
and all that Cuz
hard.
has to do is wait for it. You also got a Corki. There's the R. He's got a stopwatch, but not sure if that was really worth it, as he's going to die anyway. Down he does go, and another turret goes the way of Kingzone. So with that, they are able to close a little bit of the gap. Now only 1,000 gold behind.
Oh, they're only down 1,000 gold. They ended up getting that top turret. And Khan definitely having a little bit of an off game one here on the Jace. Jace, not the best feeling in the world when you are behind on him. Take a look at how this all ends up happening. Goes for a shock blast recklessly. And the thing that's so surprising about this is that your jungler was just in the blue side jungle of the enemy team. Sivir and Tahm had no help coming. Gee, I wonder where Vi is. That's the question I'm asking. He ends up using a stopwatch for no reason, as it all it does is it delays his inevitable death.
Yeah. Doesn't actually gain them anything. The turret goes down for free.
It's a complete waste of the rune.
Yeah. Just sells it immediately. It's like he never even took the rune in the first place. So, and now we're having some trouble down here on the bottom side as Gunblade is completed, and he's down 3 levels on Rascal, who's the, well, not the highest level in the game, actually. That goes to FLICKR, who's level 13. So, catching up, and it looks like Kingzone now, they're not going to let the second mountain go astray.
Kingzone are showing that they want to fight over this, but all of SK Telecom are here. FLICKR has TP.
Look at Khan. They're just ganging up on him now as they're all running after him. Not quite able to kill him just yet. Finally, they get him. SKT say, we'll just try to take him out. They do not take it as Vi gonna come in for the steal and the engage. Aftershock gonna keep her alive, and now the flash is on in as Pawn is looking for more. He's able to pick up 1 kill on the end.
And meanwhile, FLICKR, he's going to pick himself up the top tier 1 turret, but you have to really question what are the priorities for SK Telecom. Giving up that second Mountain Drake, you have to think to yourself, is definitely quite a blunder, but huge credit to Kingzone for capitalizing on the opportunity presented to them. They bully Khan once more, or even forcing him to get a Hex Drinker.
Yeah.
This early on. And you have to just wonder, yet again, what is he doing so far out of position, as just another easy pickup for Kingzone, and then they're trying to burst down the dragon, but Cuz ends up telling Clid that he's going to need to check his smite key one more time. And then what a beautiful cancel right there.
Yeah.
Of Jarvan's EQ. Fawn ends up picking up a kill.
Got him, no flash. And everybody's favorite, nice comes through as you guys will remember that Pawn was given the kill on the Jace up in the top lane. Picks up a second one now on top of that call. So this guy is actually stacking the cash right now. And that's exactly what Kingzone want for this Corki to get online.
Well, Corki 2-0-1, 200 CS, also has a cull completed inside of him, even though he has sold the item. And so now Kingzone, they find themselves 1.4k behind, but honestly the edge is going to them, at least in the current game state. The damage threat on the two carries in mid and top is just not quite there yet, I feel, to nullify the Vi and Akali. And it looks like Khan's about to potentially get bullied again.
Yeah, here we go again. Not even bother to land the shuriken on him, just going on in. Is going to win the trade in the end, but is not going to push under turret just yet. Doesn't bother using his ultimate either. Probably because Khan has flash. If Khan doesn't have flash there, he probably full-on goes for it and may even be able to pick up that kill. But also with the Hex Drinker, a little bit too much survivability right now for Khan.
And SK Telecom posturing around in mid lane. They're not really going to have too many options available. With only one Mountain Drake, they don't have the ability to just go and try to threaten the Baron and demand that Kingzone come to them. So Kingzone, they're going to be content playing ping pong in all of the lanes, letting their champions continue to scale up right now. As SKT, they're going to look to clear out vision on the left-hand side of the map. Another mountain coming up in a minute and a half, extremely important for both of these teams now, as we are approaching the threshold where Kingzone's champions do get to punch back. And so double mountain becomes a real thing for them as well. It opens up the possibility to two-man Baron with any of the carries, and that goes for both of the teams.
It really does. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because Varus has two items, Spike and T's, pretty damn strong. That seems to be the carry here for the side of SKT. Should be Teddy on that Varus, most CS in the game. Only 264 at 21 and a half minutes. Not so bad.
It's all right.
Down there.
It's really, it's okay.
Yeah. I don't know where he found the extra minions, but he's got away. Hex Drinker for him now as well. So he's definitely taking the Akali very seriously if he does get dove in that back line.
Otta teleports into the mid lane and ends up placing down one warp. We're getting the ping pong. This is the lull state I like to talk about.
Both these teams just lulling around, as really the onus is on SKT to get something done. Now they will have another very big Drake coming through that mountain. Is going to be the next one as Teddy just casually 1v2ing, had Mana nearby.
I think, yeah, Pawn and Cuz are definitely out of position right now. Doesn't matter if you have home guard, you're way too late to this mountain. SK Telecom, they should just burst it down as soon as it spawns. Dept has teleport. Oh, actually,
Dance on court.
He has package. But SKT don't look like they want to just burst it down. So I made a little bit of an error, didn't realize Corki had package available. He will be here. In presence. Yeah.
It's waiting nearby. You can see that Kingzone now trying to set it up as Rascal comes over the wall, avoids that shock blast.
SKT look like they just want to bring him right down.
Yeah, as Clid and them are just going to go down on the right side. The package gets him out, and the Dragon goes the way of Kingzone as now they've got double mountain. As playing on mountainous rocky terrain right now are both of these teams.
Really bizarre movement there from SKT. Rascal is just getting so much aggro from SK Telecom. He's pulling it so well. And so SK Telecom continue to falter as the game draws on. Ocean Drake gonna be the next one coming up. Or as I like to say, Open Drake. No one is going to consider that a high priority. So it's going to be open for anyone to take here.
Yeah.
At 28 minutes.
They were rolling so well, and then all of a sudden, Open Drake shows his face. What are your thoughts on the death stance here for Corki? Definitely not an item you see very often. Generally, it's the rapid fire cannon into an infinity edge. So mixing it up here is pawn, and again, it is pawn. So, you know, we've come to expect that out of this player, but what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking the death stance, well, it was changed many patches ago, so it's all damage now heals you, even though Corki does majority magic. And so it's not just about the physical damage he can do. So he's able to heal up. I suppose that there's some hope on the side of SKT that he can try to heal.
Trying to ultimate now on top of FLICKR. He's got 4 people. Wait, he does have the stopwatch available. Now TP's coming in. FLICKR trying to lock him down, but take a look at Cuz in the backline. Nice knockup, though, onto that Akali. Now we're turning it around onto Cuz. He's going to have his own stopwatch. And in goes Pawn onto Khan. Meanwhile, up on the top side, another fight going on here. But nobody is going to die.
And even though there's no casualties inside of this fight, though, the one thing that you have to remember is that Kingzone's members are all really healthy.
Oh boy.
This is a pretty free Baron.
Looks like it as SKT. They're going to cancel some recalls. TP now coming in.
Cuz is getting very low.
Oh boy. Just a couple of spells will do it. FLICKR's going in.
FLICKR got caught.
He's going to assassinate him, and the smite goes the way of Tom Kent as Kingzone take out the Baron. But can any of them live on the backside? Pawn is a god. He's able to take a kill. But just go down.
Kingzone turn it around.
Red buff helping
SK
out.
Telecom. Turn it around on Kingzone. And so now SKT, without Baron on the map, it's no longer going to be an objective for Kingzone. All their members are down. SK Telecom is going to get a massive amount of gold off of this as well as XP. And we'll see how this is all going. Cuz is taking way too much damage. And so the tanking on the side of Kingzone, not quite the best. FLICKR comes in, has the aftershock, and comes down to a smite fight. Tushin end up being able to get it right at the very end. Depth goes down with his flash still up. It looked like Pawn was going to get out, but SK Telecom red buff.
His E acroed it. Look at SKT coaches. They're like, wait, what?
오케이 나이스 비스입니다.
Oh, I got it. It's worth it. I got it.
It's worth Killed it. Nice. And huge turnaround there for SKT. SKT red buff coming on in big towards the end to get rid of the last guy with Baron. Actually will be pretty big.
You know, it makes me really happy to see that the buffs are finally beginning to get picked up by teams. We have Cloud9's blue buff, and then we have SK Telecom now recruiting red buff here.
Oh boy, here we go, locking down the Corki now. Can they get into that back line? Clint is gonna dunk him! And there it is, as Tushin not able to get the Devour down. In time to save his life, ends up devouring Devi, and now they're desperately just trying to stop the push.
So they end up getting Pawn right there. That's his second death of the game. And it's important to note that he didn't die at all in the previous series.
Yeah.
And off of that, though, they just continue to get a little bit of gold. They're going to back up and reset. And you can see Pawn just stepping a little bit too far forward. Beautiful by Mata to get the passive onto Pawn. Good ultimate to prevent Thomas from being able to eat him. Cataclysm came in, and Tushin's gonna have to settle for consuming Cuz. Open Drake coming up in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Valdez.
We got it coming in here.
This is the priority target.
I guess you just wait, right?
Well,
Make that Elder spawn?
Yeah, I think that if you're thinking about a pretty good play, you do wait until 30 and just allow the Elder to spawn.
Yeah.
But I think if you're Kingzone, you want to try to take that as fast as possible.
Oh, it's FLICKR in the back line. He has to, just in desperation, as Cuz is going to go down. It looked like Clid and the boys wanted more, but FLICKR with a nice play gets over the wall and gets the pick.
SKT, they are going to take it down. We'll see what is going to be the next dragon. Another Ocean Drake. All right. Well, not the most exciting dragons.
And now that Elder is going to spawn much later.
Yeah, the Elder's going to spawn much later, which is going to actually be bad, I would say, for SKT, more so than Kingzone. And so I mentioned how Kingzone would probably want to take down the Ocean Drake, and that's because SK Telecom have a little bit more of usage for it at the current game state than Kingzone, and so Baron is going to be the next major neutral. Feels like the game is really going to come down to that, but at the current game state, I feel like we're beginning to see one of the problems for the Vi and the Akali in that there's so much defensive utility on the side of SK Telecom that it becomes really difficult for these champions to really provide a lot of value, and so a lot of pressure onto the Corki and the Sivir to get up close and personal, but you don't necessarily want to be up close and personal against some of these SK Telecom champions.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you're a Vi, and I suppose the best target is a Varus. You know, it's going to be pretty hard, but especially hard for the Akali, as Maw of Malmortius and A Wit's End are going to be completed here up against this Akali, so Varus is half tank. In the meanwhile, if she can even get on top of the Varus, which is a difficult feat alone.
Sivir is almost at 4 items. Corki looking like he wants to go for the Infinity Edge next, but I'm assuming that he's ways away from that. 4,000, almost 5,000 is the gold lead here for SK Telecom. 45 seconds until the Baron ends up spawning.
You can see that's what SKT are setting up for, as FLICKR threatening it up in the top side, but not going to go for it as Glid. Uh-oh, he's going to be locked down for so long. Down goes the GA, as TP's now going to be channeled. Shock Blast comes in. It looks like Kingzone just going to be happy to pick up the GA alone.
Yeah, it's a fantastic trade, though, for Kingzone. They get the Guardian Angel. Glid now very low on HP. He does have that Ocean Drake, though. Look at how effective it really is. Just look at it.
Can't tell it's sarcastic.
Hold on. He's almost gotten 100 HP in the last 10 seconds. All right. It's chugging along.
He's getting there.
It's like molasses uphill in January.
Oh, they're going, actually, right on top of Rascal. The flash in from FLICKR, and Rascal just lulls in his face and shurikens away. Well, I guess he did have to use his ultimate as well to get out of that one, so. But still a good trade for Rascal.
The red buff, though, being taken on.
Look at Pawn just running at them.
Pawn's playing dodgeball right now.
I actually love this, what you can do. He's going to dodge the ultimate from Varus as well, and now FLICKR not in the best position here. Doesn't have his ultimate, just has the Zhonya's, and he's going to pay for it as he goes down in the mid lane.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, Valdez. That was...
No analysis on that one?
I got nothing to say on that one.
Okay.
I don't think FLICKR knows what that was.
I think he's regretting that one a little bit, as you can see pings are going down onto the Baron, but Kingzone, even after taking out the SKT mid lane, are deciding against.
Let's take a look at Pawn's movement here. He ends up dodging so much of SK Telecom's skill shots, and then Kingzone making the decision to raise the mid-tier 1 turret. Watch FLICKR take this, and you have to wonder, what was going through his head?
Maybe he thought that Tom Kent was on their team, but that's not the case. As double mountain Barons, they're pretty fast, but they're looking for the turn, trying to get into that backline on top of Teddy, but look at the return from SKT! All the knockups come in, and Vi can't do anything! As Khan is going to be in here, but take a look at Corki. It's actually the Pawn show at the end of this fight. He's going to crit for the last kill. Not going to be able to get the last one, though, as the ace goes down as Death Dance takes him out at the end.
Oh, man. Khan is going to be the last man remaining in the Death Dance. Ends up killing Pawn at the end. That's going to be another turret. Let's take a look at this. Kingzone. This looks like a pretty free Baron. They elect not to 50-50 it, instead try to turn on, and here is what we're sort of seeing. Akali and Vi can't actually engage onto the SK Telecom team composition despite Lissandra not being present. And this was just a slugfest as Pawn probably wanted to do a barrel roll right about now.
Yeah. He tried right there towards the end as Death Stance, I mean, it kept him alive against a lot of that engage, but at the end does mean that he is eventually going to meet his fate, which was the death. But you can really tell now with Infinity Edge that Corki is doing some ridiculous damage. And Teddy, even though everybody jumps on top of him, still gets a triple kill.
Yeah.
It's an 80 carry show tonight.
And right now, FLICKR, one of the interesting things for me is that despite that full fight, he still doesn't have his death cap. He might have it right now, though. I'll have to see. That's a very big item completion. And so now if you're Kingzone, you're probably saying to yourself, let's just fight before Lissandra gets death cap.
Ooh, looking at Khan here. Looks like he's got Edge of Night. He's going to be jumping on top of Vi. The Devour does have to come
Teddy.
in as okay. Rascal in the back line, in the shroud, trying to ultimate away. Is going to have the Zonias here towards the end because going in the back line, trying to do that damage.
What is this fight?
Oh boy, Teddy going to get the first kill as Rascal not going to go down. FLICKR flashes in, but look at the damage that they're turning back on top of them. Look at Pawn. He's still alive in the fight, going to take out one more as the double kill also goes to Rascal.
We're watching Street Fighter tonight, Brendan.
Absolute chaos in this game.
What a slugfest it's been the last couple of minutes. Both of these team comps are really going head to head. Just take a look at how this all ends up unfolding, because whiffs on his ability to try to engage onto Khan. FLICKR came over the walls, couldn't decide what he wanted to do. Tushin ends up getting Cuz to safety. Rascal using that shroud to great effectiveness, goes into the Zhonya's hourglass, has another one to boot. Cuz trying to get onto Deddy, dies.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go again. The fighting never ends in this game. It's only game one, but it's gonna go the way of Forrest! What in the world as Teddy with the arrow steals it from downtown?
Teddy might have just saved the entire game for SKT because a poke comp doesn't have much leg to stand on against Baron sieges. But had Kingzone had the Baron, they should have just been able to run over SK Telecom with it. And so now you have to feel so bad if you're a Kingzone fan. These are the worst ways to potentially lose the game.
Imagine getting this close against SKT. The game isn't over, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes as the replay comes in. You see, there are no junglers here.
You can see the exact moment the Kingzone's team's heart breaks. Right there, 646.
There is a jungler there at the end, actually, but can't get the smite down. A little bit too slow. Still looking for that smite button is Cuz.
Depth's gum chewing intensifies. And the player
oh my god. He really has that alpaca vibe going for him. As he's trying hard to do that late game carrying as well. You talked about that ticking time bomb on the side of Kingzone. It's 38 minutes into the game now, so really have to pay attention.
That's a deep teleport.
Okay, ult's coming on in here from Cuz, trying to make it happen, but the Devour does come in as Pawn. They're trying to get him, but the damage is huge from him. Can FLICKR take him out? No! He's not able to, but the Death Dance will. In the end, as Pawn, actually Rascal, is going to get a kill on the left side here. But take a look at Teddy. He's going in, and now he's got a front line. Two of them are going to go down as SKT are pushing in the base.
And the package is available for Pawn once he respawns, but that turret was not long for this world. It's going to be Defting Cuz trying to hold this off, but I just don't think you can do it. The Baron minions are going to be too much.
It's 30 seconds until Pawn is going to respawn alongside Tucson. but they're going to have to do it. They have to engage. Click goes in alone. He's going to try to flash away, but he's not going to be able to go down. Clint actually lives barely on the last one, but the Nexus is now open. They're just going to engage straight on top of Deft here. Who's not going to be able to stop it? This is going to be the game, and what a game it was. GG as SKT take the first one.
I like the fist bump there by the end of Teddy and Mata. Teddy single-handedly saved this game for SK Telecom. It's so many points. He put everyone on his back. It was looking like Jin Air Teddy reconnected. He needed to save his team. And if he doesn't get MVP, I mean, I don't know who could. Maybe Chovy.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
So
that guy gets the MVP for sure. Wow. You talked about Street Fighter. Feels like we were really getting down and dirty in this one, as it was really back and forth. You're having a little stretch after that game. I mean, that was a tense one, man.
Yeah.
That was a bit crazy to start off the night.
It was. That was a very chaotic, action-packed game number one. And these are the type of losses I fear for Kingzone, because they're so mentally frustrating to look at that game. And this is also how they've lost a lot of series in the split.
Yeah.
It has to be really good for SKT, because they're able to look at that game and know that a lot went wrong for them in the laning phase for Khan, in the mid game for FLICKR. And then these aren't things that they're going to look at and be like, oh, this is a common thing. No. They normally don't have these type of blunders and problems coming out of laning phase or in mid-game transition.
Yeah.
Whereas Kingzone, they had everything going for them. They got into good positions, and they just couldn't close.
That Baron's going to come back to haunt them in their nightmares tonight, and perhaps for a long time if they can't end up winning this series. And to lose like that, to not get that smite down when it was at 600 health, that's what you don't want to happen.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling.
When your team is the scaling comp and it's late game, you know, like that was not supposed to happen that way, and Kingzone have to be kicking themselves for it. One
of the things is the Corki and the Sivir, they really do come online at 3 and 4 items, but the problem that their team comp, I talked about it in Champ Select, is it gets to a point where Akali and Vi are nullified. They end up being glorified meat shields for the Corki and the Sivir, and then it's basically like Akali wishes that she could, you know, put on some weight and become a Scion.
Yeah.
At that point in the game, and you can just see Kali, despite how well and fed she was early on, couldn't do anything. It was really the Corki and Sivir show. Khan. He's one of those Jaces I talk about that even when you put him behind, he can still be scary on the champion. There's a few top laners in the LCK that you can really say that about. Everyone else, don't pick Jace.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
Khan able to do so much damage here. Teddy, the unsung hero of this damage chart.
Damage doesn't really reflect it, but towards the end, I mean, that guy was carrying it, shoulders pretty tired after that one, as a very action-packed game number one was really fun to cast, very back and forth. Kingzone nearly was able to challenge them there towards the end, but we'll have to wait and see how this series does develop when we do come back from a short commercial break. Welcome back, guys. We are here after that little break, after a really fiery game number 1. SKT eventually able to take it down on the backs of Varus. For Teddy, was really able to carry that one quite hard and steal the Baron as well. So he does pick up the MVP for game 1.
Yeah, and it was a pretty close call for MVP between him and Red Buff, but Teddy able to get the majority of the votes in the end. Wow, we are jumping right into Bannon picks. As we'll see now what Kingzone are going to open with in the window. It's going to be Lee Sin. As Callista following suit by SKT. Interesting to note that Kingzone elected for blue side here in game number 2. And where is their mental fortitude at right now? Thomas going to be banned by Kingzone as well. As SKT, second ban, waiting.
Yeah, I like that Tom Kent's ban. Actually, feels pretty good to pick within your first couple of picks on the red side. It's interesting how a lot of teams here in the LCK are really favoring blue side. We see that, I believe, pretty much everybody has chosen blue side when given the opportunity.
Rek'Sai now being banned away. Kingzone responding with the Jace, not wanting to give that over to Khan again, and seemingly unwilling to pick it up for Rascal. And now will Ornn make it through the ban phase? He has been popping up a little bit lately with the nerfs that have come to all of the bully champions in recent patches, as well as some of the love that Ornn's gotten in recent patches. He has begun popping up in the top lane. Galio now banned away. Rek'Sai banned away as well. J4, Rise, Ornn, Lissandra. All very big picks. Kingzone getting that Rise now, basically saying, hey, SK Telecom, you can't have Lissandra. Silas, instant response here. The Rise does counter Silas. So we're going to have to see if that's going to be Khan on the Silas or if FLICKR will end up picking it up. Kingzone might just go with the power bot lane, Lucian Braum. Deft looking emotionless as ever.
Yeah. He's putting on his best alpaca face as Lucian is the choice. It's funny to see that Galio ban come through. It means that SKT was able to get one of those OP guys that was left over.
Camille.
And Camille, okay.
All right. Camille now locked in for Kingzone. We don't know if that's going to be for Cuz or Rascal. As SK Telecom, if they pick the Lissandra here, I feel like they are showing that Silas is most likely going top. But instead, they're going to get the Braum so that Kingzone don't have it. So now Ezreal still on the table. Ezreal is particularly good against Kingzone's champions right now. They're all extremely short range.
Can consider that as a ban for Kingzone. We saw SKT banned in the second phase first, but they're going to take away the Ashe, who is another one of those AD carries in the bot lane that can kind of just survive and calm things down in the bottom.
I wonder if Kingzone actually elect to ban the Vayne as well. Although that's not something I would expect out of SKT in this particular spot. Maybe want to ban Morgana. Is Kingzone. As Alistar now being, or not, yeah, they're being banned away.
Now considering
Lissandra.
one other pick, Lissandra, is going to get banned here, so the Ezreal remains, as do all of these champions.
Oh, it is potentially going to be the Vayne. Oh, that's Varus. All right. Okay. That's how it's going to go.
Varus is good.
I was in the right ballpark, the letter V. It's pretty close.
Yeah, you were close. Yeah.
And even if we swap it over to Korean, still
You're right. Yeah.
Still.
How are you so knowledgeable
Thank you. I'll be here
about
all
the
night.
alphabet? It's intense.
Yeah. Kingzone now, you have to wonder what they're going to end up picking. Well,
I like this a lot.
This is really good. It nullifies SK Telecom's ability to flex the Sylas. Both LeBlanc and Ryze counter Sylas. They don't have true ultimates for him to take. And so he's basically a 3 skill point champion in the mid lane. And what is Kingzone's supportive choice going to be? We've mentioned how Korea doesn't tend to be the region which likes to punish the Braum and Tahm Kench picks with non-traditional supports like Zyra from old or Soraka or whatnot. And as we talk about it, Shen end up coming in. Not quite a part of the Holy Trinity, but he is very popular in Korean solo queue.
So what are we going to see in the top lane or potentially in the mid lane here with that Sylas flex? Thinking about a Victor down to the wire will be picked up.
Victor's coming in here, and I do believe that's going to be a mid lane Victor.
Also starts with B.
Yeah. But Khan is currently the one that has it selected. I'd be very surprised to see Victor actually go top lane. We'll have to see if they do swap it before I begin talking about what the team comps are trying to do, as that will greatly actually impact both of the junglers. So we got 8 seconds left. It's coming down to the wire. Cleanse, though, selected for the Varus as teleport on the side of Lucian. And it will be Khan on the Victor there in top lane. And so, Victor against Ryze, he is able to get to a point where Ryze can't go near him. He will outrange him. But Victor, inside of the long lane against the Camille and the Ryze, he has to really respect the Rune Prison. He has to play very defensively. Whenever Camille is able to be in close proximity to the top lane, Ryze, Camille, LeBlanc, Lucian in Shen. This is about as aggro as it gets. 2 items is all this team composition has to stand on against the SK Telecom team comp. They need to end this game before 3 items or amass an enormous gold advantage, because this cannot continue into the late game. On the flip side for SK Telecom, Varus, Braum, Sylas, Jarvan the 4th, and Victor, definitely a lot more scaling inside of this team composition. They are going to get more durable and also dish out more damage the longer the game goes.
Certainly does feel that way, as it looks like we're ready to go, guys. Game number 2, a Kingzone versus SKT, starts now. Here we go, as already the gloves are off. Just trying to get some items here. Is Pawn. Looks like he was able to get some gold. 105 gold. As he's going to have a control ward already at level 1.
All right. Pawn. Pretty good.
He rolls high.
He definitely, he likes to roll. He's a gambler.
Worked out this time. See a lot of Klepto nowadays on the LeBlanc, especially up against melee, where you can take advantage of it and just spam your abilities on that guy. Also, Ravenous Hunter, Taste of Blood, just to sustain and stay alive in this lane.
I particularly like it as well when you know that the enemy team composition contains multiple champions that you're not going to be able to one-shot with an Electrocute, and you don't really need the poke damage from the Aerie because LeBlanc doesn't care about that inside of the lane anyway. And so Kleptomancy is definitely the next best choice, as Pawn now trying to zone FLICKR out of some of the CS, fails to actually do so in the end. FLICKR 0-2 there on Sylas.
Yeah. He is one of the Sylas players.
I like that.
Only losses. But everybody else on his team, very proficient in terms of win rates. And let's take a look at some of the runes here. We do have Conqueror Jarvan coming through in the jungle.
Scorch on Victor. Every day I die a little bit more inside every time I see that. Gathering Storm should always be the rune of choice.
How much Scorch damage do you think he's going to do in this game?
I don't even know, but it's going to be
200?
It's going to be absolutely paltry. top. It doesn't really matter, especially because you're not picking Victor for lane dominance up there in top lane either. Why don't you just want the Gathering Storm? You know that your team composition doesn't want to fight until 20+ minutes anyway. And definitely a blunder. I actually talked about this on stream recently. It's quite a bad room.
Yeah, definitely feels kind of bad nowadays. Not a big fan of it so far, as Pawn is just farming the Sylas right now, getting so many items so far, even though he is down on the CS for now.
Talking about the jungler routes, you can see that Cuz has not yet had the ability to eat the Raptors or the Krugs yet, whereas Clid is already making his way to them, and so with Clid not being the one to have pressure trying to make ganks work, his team is the one that Clid just has to show up for match and counter ganks endlessly, over and over, in scale into the later stages. And with Clown Drake being the first one of the game spawning, SK Telecom have even more time to be able to do that. Interesting to note that Hunter's Potion picked up for Cuz on the Camille is definitely going to stunt his build. So I think that everything is going pretty well here for SKT this early on.
You don't see that Hunter's Potion very often in pro play, but every so often, whenever it gets picked, you do have to mention it. So kind of interesting that he does go down that path. Khan out of mana here, uses his laser and misses.
But that Scorch was very effective here. Ryze sitting at 3 Corrupting Potions. Khan showing absolutely zero willingness to actually even attempt to poke him, so I'm glad that we're on the same page here.
Really does make you think about that Scorch.
Yeah. There it is.
Okay. See the immense amount of damage that's coming in. Okay, got him again with the laser.
Just recall now. I am assuming, or he wants to stay for yet another wave. They don't know that the ward's here. And so now Cuz, in very close proximity, maybe some sparks could fly.
It's not really a lot of mana on Khan.
Feigning weakness. And now with Khan not having any mana available, they're not going to be able to trade against that Camille. But he did get the recall that he wanted.
That he did. Take a look at the bottom lane every so often, but not as action-packed as game number 1. Just going very even in CS, and just casually, passively farming down here.
This is a little bit of a lull state happening very early on, and if you're a Kingzone fan and you're watching this, you can't feel too good about it right now. That team comp is the one with the onus on them to get ahead. They need to get kills. They need to get their jungler rolling. Camille, I would probably say, is the worst jungler in the game in the current meta as far as SA and B tier junglers go in competitive, where if she doesn't get any kills going, she just feels absolutely terrible. Even more so than a Kha'Zix. That one slipped.
Oh, what?
That one.
What did you say? I didn't hear that.
I wasn't conscious.
Hookshot comes in, and now it's double TP from the mid lane. FLICKR going 1v3, trying to burst down Cuz here. Gonna use his own Realm Warp, but isn't gonna be able to get out of that one. First blood goes the way of the Ryze Rascal up in top lane.
Not able to get Cuz right at the very end there. Khan now is going to have lane priority. It's not really going to be able to be converted into much. They also got the teleport out of FLICKR. But Khan's going to be fine up there in the top lane with the Hex Core evolution already completed. As you can see that Deft Intuition, they're trying to freeze down here in bottom.
They've been doing that very often. And we've seen that Camille hasn't really been down there, but it's just an interesting thought as we'll take another look at the replay.
Realm Warp coming in. They have to respect it. Flash comes out. FLICKR coming in with the teleport. Hold your horses as he had the Ryze ultimate. That's... Wow. That was the really scary thing there. Cuz almost going down.
I mean, it would have been really cool if he got the kill and got the Realm Warp out. That would have been amazing.
That would have been a stylish play.
Yeah.
As now we return here to the mid lane. And one of the interesting things for me is the CS differential is really in favor of FLICKR now. Sheen completed for Pawn. Wondering if he's going to do something really wonky like a tanky LeBlanc build with Iceborne Gauntlet. Maybe we're going to see Trinity Force LeBlanc. No, but I'm assuming that it's for the CDR and the mana so that he's able to use Kleptomancy more freely and just spam his abilities more often.
Yeah, and I mean, you're autoing a lot up against a Silas as well, so that's very effective damage, actually, when you think about it at the end of the day. And, of course, everybody's favorite build, the double tank seal, coming in for both of the mid laners. Only one Dark Seal up at the top lane for the victor, as Pawn is just farming as much gold as possible up against FLICKR.
So right now, 600 gold advantage. That's an interesting ultimate, the Stand United.
That's a nice one.
Yeah,
I like that.
There's quite a few ways to actually utilize this. FLICKR basically has a teleport available if Clit is ever in close proximity to mid lane. And the other way is that obviously he can cast it on one of his allies and get a lot of value out of it. SK Telecom committing to capitalizing on the Clown Drake. We'll have to see if Cloud Drake ends up spawning next. And it will be an open Drake, so quite fortunate.
So they were able to get on in there because of the control ward that spotted both Pawn and Cuz at the blue buff. So nice play to just get on in there and grab one of those Drakes real quick. Open Drake won't be that bad if this laning phase does continue for quite a while.
Well, mid lane has some trades going on for 900 gold advantage on the side of Kingzone. You can see 300 of it is inside of a Blanc. 500 inside of the Rise. He has a bit of a CS advantage. He also has that kill inside of him. And so, Cuz actually, he's right there to get that control ward. And remember, Clid doesn't have an obligation to make plays happen. He doesn't need to be the one ganking because his champions in mid and top and bottom all scale better. Mata looking to clear out some vision as bot is looking for the reset. And even if Cuz wants to head into bottom lane to try to make a play here against Teddy, I do believe that the Stand United is still available for FLICKR.
Should be. You can see he's heading down actually to the bottom lane as in we go. Teddy looking for the 1v1. Can he do it? The Shen ultimate comes in and now the culling in the face, but FLICKR trying to get that damage down. Deft is going to live for now, but not for very much longer as they're going to hand that kill over to Teddy. Nicely done. They know where their bread is buttered. They want Teddy to carry on the Varus again.
Teddy ends up picking up that kill for SKT. Is also going to have lane priority. Definitely going to be able to convert this potentially into some plates. Actually stops his recall. Looks like he is keen on eating the control ward. And then perhaps getting the scuttle trap, but we'll have to see.
Trading back and forth. It's just Pawn once again, building up as much gold as possible. As the top lane has turned into a snooze fest.
Yeah, this is how the matchup goes. Once Victor gets his Hex Core complete and his laser fires twice, there's not much to really do. Now here's the thing that was interesting is, where was the Stand United from FLICKR? Yeah, not sure where it ended up going. As I do believe that it was showing that he had it, but didn't quite matter. Def trying to make the most of his time.
루시안 너 잡았어. 나 미드 갈게.
Lucian, I'll push mid.
쉔공 없어, 쉔공 없어.
야 루시안 노플이다.
Shen no ult. And as we return to live, still same gold advantage on the side of Kingzone. And now, this isn't a good spot for them.
The Rift Herald's really good timing for Kingzone. We always talk about the plates that can be gathered. Looks like he wants to use it up in the top lane. begin to, you know, just feed as much gold into the Rise that already picked up first blood. Just get him as far ahead as possible as Clid actually going to show himself down on the bottom side and not even attack the turret, so just forcing Deft and Tucson to play a little bit more carefully as TP's coming in here from FLICKR. Rascal just says, let's get out of here. We already got that gold.
Yeah, it's still really
TP.
well done, though, by SKT. They managed to save the top turret. No more plates end up going down. It should be pretty difficult now for Rascal to actually eat any more of those plates before the 14-minute mark.
Oh boy, good dodge by Lucian, but take a look at the Shen in so much trouble.
Teddy.
Deft just kind of baiting him into that one though as Pawn was making its way down. And now Mana in so much trouble as Cuz is here to stay. Even going to use his ultimate to make sure 100% that he was going to go down.
This is a very crucial moment here for Kingzone. They get a lot of pressure relief in bottom. They get 2 assists for Deft. And most importantly, they put Teddy behind a little bit, as we can see what is happening in mid lane here. Clid trying to come in and cancel the recall, but Cuz said, hey, look at me. And yeah, Tucson gets a taunt onto Teddy as Pawn able to come in here as well and help out with everything. A little bit interesting, they value the flash on LeBlanc instead of just going 1 for 2. So that will be a summoner spell she will not have available if there is a team fight in coming moments. Not that SK Telecom have to handshake on any team fight. Top tier 1 turret going to be going down here. It's going to be the first one of the game.
That Rise is really happy right now. Got a lot of the plates too. I believe it was 3, maybe 2, or 4. It was either 3 or 4 in the end, it looked like there. So Rascal, an insane amount of gold right now, as I guess it was actually just 2 in the top side. So only 1 extra plate here for the side of Kingzone, but more importantly, you take a look at the top side, and the gold lead is actually really heavily in Kingzone's favor already, as SKT are going to go for another Drake.
Yeah, SK Telecom picking themselves up an open Drake. Will we get an Infernal or a Mountain as the 3rd type? Nope, Cloud Drake will be spawning next. And that's actually a very nice one if SKT can end up picking it up. First one, I'm not super enthusiastic about, but the second one definitely feels very nice. As FLICKR taking quite a bit of damage.
Stealing the LeBlanc and hopping away, as he is going to stick around for this next wave.
And he's just trying to wave clear over and over. And so right now, the gold advantage, Kingzone, it's about 2.3k in their favor. No objectives available, though. And with the massive amount of wave clear on the side of SK Telecom, I mean, I keep talking about how these team compositions eventually collide with one another, but they're really going to have their work cut out for them. How do you perforate the defenses of SKT and actually raise any of these turrets without any siege? No Mountain Drakes came their way, and so Baron is going to be a very scary thing. SK Telecom can sit comfortably back and relax even more into the 3-4 item spike. And it's going to really be on Pawn and Cuz with some smoke and mirrors to make magic happen. Because if this game continues going like it is now, I don't know what they're supposed to do at the 30-minute team fight.
Yeah, they got to get something going here. And for right now, all they've really got was that top tier 1. No swaps or anything like that. And you can see now Cuz is considering hopping onto FLICKR, who is going to show himself at the Wolves. Clid actually in the bottom lane here, so lots of pings coming down. They want to try to turn this with the Stand United. Here's Pawn into that back line, but they're trying to turn onto Deft, who has to flash away. Mata in a lot of trouble, though. They are going to get that one. Root Prison down onto Khan. as he is not going to go down. Chaos Storm being a little bit obnoxious as Pawn once again poking a little bit more forward, but just the one kill will go to the side of Kingzone.
And it's a nice pickup, though, as every little bit of gold acceleration does matter for them. Every little bit of tempo is what they need to use to keep trying to stretch advantages. FLICKR picks up another LeBlanc ultimate.
They're gonna ult in here. Do they have the burst damage? FLICKR trying to turn it around with that aftershock is gonna say no to the face of Cuz. No kill will happen.
Now Varus up there in top lane pushing out the wave. Everyone content, it seems, to remain defensive. Pawn comes over with the Stand United in this replay. Excellent play. Cataclysm came down, but not able to lock anyone up. Khan was here just to flash away instantaneously. And not much else really going to happen as SK Telecom go back to their wave clear ways. And really, they don't have anything to do. I keep talking about it.
Yeah.
They don't care about the turrets. They don't care about the little minuscule amounts of gold. And so Kingzone have to find a way to draw SKT out of their base. Stand United picked up once again for FLICKR, as he is electing to go for the ability power, Silas.
He already has that Ludens picked up, going for the Protobelt next. Builds a lot like Lysandra, if you think about it. Even has the same rune with the Aftershock. But now, I mean, we do have this Trinity Force accelerated for the Camille, who is 2-0-1, has a bounty. They got the first blood on the Rise, which is going to be pretty nice in terms of their carries getting the gold. So Kingzone in a decent spot for now, but as you mentioned, they need to make something happen with that decent spot that they are sitting in.
Well, now Kingzone trying to posture around the bottom half of the map, looking to maybe make something happen. But they're just not doing it. And if some people are wondering, well, how do you make SK Telecom move away from their turrets? And this is something I've talked about for quite a long time. You freeze. You take the minions that they hand back to you, like that cannon wave in top, and rather than do what Pawn's about to do and instantaneously eat it and play ping pong with the victor, you take that wave all the way back to yours and you start trying to freeze with it and say, hey, if you want minions and XP, you have to come out of your base to do it.
It does seem like a good idea, especially when there's no big objective to take right now. You know, it's just the Cloud Drake. But it seems like Kingzone do value that quite highly, as everybody on their side is coming on in. Cuz, bit of a ninja here in the brush, is immediately going to red smite and go on into FLICKR, as Shen's making his way in too with the Rune Prison. Is Rise to help out, as now Klid's in a bit of trouble. Deucin tanking that one up. The sun comes in. He's going to flash over the wall, but he's going to go down anyway, as another kill is going to go the way of Kingzone.
And it's quite a merry-go-round right now for SK Telecom, as Kingzone, they're going to be able to pick themselves up the Cloud Drake and deny the second one being able to go over to SKT. And SKT don't seem to realize what they want to be doing in this game, as so many members seem to just be on very different pages here.
It does feel like that a little bit. Game number one was, or seemingly was, a bit cleaner in terms of the teamwork, but kind of slowing down here in game number two after their win. But now Kingzone massively far ahead, as Cuz sneaks into the brush. How could you have expected the Camille to sneak on in there? And FLICKR obviously did not, so he got punished for it.
He did. And if you're SKT and you look at the map movements of Varus, Braum, and friends, you have to wonder, well, why is everyone coordinating like this if you're already just keen on giving up the Cloud Drake? And so Kingzone, as you mentioned, they're in position to punish these mistakes. Those are Pawn and Def's moms.
Yeah. Whole family's coming down to support them as Kingzone, I mean, it was a very even game number 1. Really could have gone either way, especially with the scaling comp that Kingzone had. And now with this comp that they needed to get ahead with, they have gotten ahead by over 5,000 gold. Kingzone looking really good in these playoffs so far. We'll see if SKT can come back in this one and do a bit of scaling themselves.
Well, SK Telecom, they are down about 5,000 gold on the dot. And the one thing that they have going for them is that no Mountain Drakes were rolled and captured by Kingzone. And so Baron is a little bit more difficult to capture. And Varus and Victor are particularly good at defending against Baron from the red side jungle. Those Victor lasers and the Varus piercing arrows can be quite a formidable defense, as well as the gravity field constricting access and the entry point into SKT's red side jungle. And so Kingzone, they still have their work cut out for them despite their big gold lead.
That they do. We'll see which objective is next. They have taken 2 turrets so far. And we've seen Pawn do crazy stuff on the LeBlanc before in terms of escapes. It's not going to be forced this time around, as no engage happens on the top side. Probably smart from the side of SKT.
SK Telecom clearing out vision now on the left-hand side of the map. Just wanting to make sure that nothing sneaky ends up going on by Kingzone. They do have some nice item completions coming in for them here. But Cuz maybe looking to capitalize on something like this.
Coming on in, and now he's going to just challenge Clid, saying, hello, I'd like to fight, and Clid says, no thank you.
Clid did not seem too keen on that.
Keeps the gloves on, does not drop them.
And there's so many item completions lingering on the side of SK Telecom that they just don't have yet. So probably, it's definitely not on the menu for them to try fighting. Fortunately for them as well, Cloud Drake is the next one spawning, which is not all that important now.
Oh, they found Clid, but that is a pretty massive FLICKR coming on in with his own stand united as down goes the Camille, not tanky enough to survive against all of that damage, and now they're on the chase. Trying to get on top of Tucson here, as even a flash is going to come in. They really want that kill, as 2 will go in, and now the gang over here of Kingzone are trying to get a kill on top of Mata, but he's not going to go down, and oh boy, that ultimate is spreading, but Teddy does have to flash to safety.
Yeah.
Can they catch him here as Rascal is going to dodge a lot and try to stand up to them, but absolutely cannot, as it's 5 members. Now the culling coming on in from FLICKR. Not going to be enough to take him out, but that's 3 solid kills going to SKT.
And it just feels like to me that the game has now swung to a point where Kingzone, barring complete mechanical failure on the side of SK Telecom, I don't think they can salvage this game, Valdez. And we're getting brief glimpses of how difficult it is for them to crack SK Telecom at this stage of the game, and it didn't matter about the gold lead. And this is one of the traps that teams around the world sometimes fall into when they pick winning lanes that have to get ahead, but they don't get ahead enough. RNG on the Drakes don't quite go their way, and they find themselves in quite a pickle. You can see right here, they get the jump onto Clid, didn't matter. Stand United coming in from FLICKR. Their members are just way too tanky against the side of Kingzone. You can see Pawn not even really sure what to do. Def not at the fight. And then like you said, they really wanted Tushin, as any little bit of gold right now for SKT is so much more valuable than it is for Kingzone. Because their goal is just to get to the item point where the game doesn't matter anymore.
Oh boy, now we're going to be bullying on as another TP's coming in. FLICKR not able to cancel his. He's going to be fighting 4 members. We all know how that fight goes. SKT on the opposite side not quite able to rush down any objectives, so just the 2 kills will go to Kingzone.
And I think that Kingzone maybe want to try to go for a Baron play. There's not a teleport available on either Oh, okay, well, that's a recall in front of the Baron, but nothing's going to happen. Khan pushing this wave a little bit needlessly, being caught out, and then demanding FLICKR's teleport. And you have to wonder why they're doing this. That's the big question for me. And Kingzone obviously waiting on the horizon for these very kinds of mistakes. It's going to be the only way for them back into the game. They end up getting a turret off it as well.
That is quite nice, as seems like these teams don't like waiting for Elder. Def says, I would like another Drake to spawn here. How about a Mountain? One time for the boys.
How about an Ocean Drake? Come on.
There it is, yeah! Jackpot!
There you go. Unfortunately for them, it will not come online until about 33.5 minutes, so gonna still be ways away. Yep. Victor.
Oh boy.
Not sure how close he is.
FLICKR, no flash, and even if he had it, I don't think he would have lived, as Rise and Shen also went up to the top side with the Realm Warp. They're trying to push this as fast as possible, and they're going to get another turret.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very important pickup for them, and they're managing to capitalize on the mistakes of SKT.
They found a Jarvan. He takes a little bit of damage. Has Stoneplate finished here. So it's going to be a bit tanky, and oh boy, here we go. No mountains required, say Kingzone. We're just going to go for the Baron right away. You can see they've got a decent amount of damage with the Rise and the Lucian, but it's not going to be enough, as SKT will move over and say no about that Baron.
You have to really respect Victor inside of these narrow corridors, as well as the Varus. And SKT just confirming one more time that they haven't started it. And so now we come back into the live game. Def shoving in mid lane. FLICKR gonna go forward again in top lane. He's a glutton for punishment, it seems.
4 deaths, not enough, obviously. But this time around, he has his team with him, so going to be a lot safer.
Also got level 16. Very surprised he ended up picking up the Proto Belt in the end. Normally that's an item that you only get on Sylas very early on because it offers the most early game, mid game power, but it tippers off in the later stages of the game. And with the enemy team comp all having basically melee champions and pseudo melee champions, you don't really need the Proto Belt for the gap closing by any means. You don't need it for the wave clear. Interesting item completion.
He already had that, what's that item? The fiery red orb thing. Built into, huh?
Kindle Gem.
Yeah, there you go. I was thinking like searing
Right,
orb. I have no idea why.
casters.
Yeah, well. Thank you, coach, for coaching me on that one.
Yeah.
He had already built that, so maybe he felt guilty. He's like, well, I got to give Proto Belt a shot. We got to get him onto the stage, or her. I don't know the gender of the Proto Belt. Don't want to assume. As yeah, does complete that 3rd item, and yeah, we're still waiting on that Mountain Drake. You can see that Kingzone really chomping at the bit to pick that one up, but in the meantime, are going to pick up another outer turret.
Yeah, they end up getting themselves the tier 1 in mid. Their gold advantage is still at about 6,500, roughly. As they're waiting, and you can just see they're reduced to these types of plays right now. They have to constantly look to try to pick off stragglers on the side of SKT.
Yeah.
As Khan is very close to his death cap. That is such a massive item spike for him. One of the other interesting itemization choices I want to point out is that with the massive amount of magic damage on the side of SKT, and the fact that Jarvan has Cinderhulk as well, I'm very surprised that Teddy didn't elect to go Wit's End instead of the Blade of the Ruin King, because there's not any HP stack or tanks on the side of Kingzone. I do feel like that is a bit of a itemization blunder. he would have been able to amplify so much of his teammates' damage, as well as his own.
Oh, he got it.
Got the cannon.
Yeah.
That's the real heroic capture.
Yeah. I was just only paying attention to that,
I
sorry.
think he has death cap. Yeah, he does.
Oh, there you go.
That's a massive wake up.
It's a, you know, it's a good 100 AP probably. Maybe more. As, okay, Pawn gonna come in and just casually steal a Gromp. Or rather, a Krug. Cuz hanging out with Bertha over here.
Yeah, Bertha going down. Cuz does have a 2.5 level advantage over Clid, though, as Clid has been very generous.
Oh, well, we found him again as Khan going for a little walk in the jungle. Enjoys his nature walks, but did not enjoy that one as he gets caught out big time right before the Mountain Drake.
But why? Valdez, I'm going to need you to tell me why is he walking that way?
That's a good question.
He has TP, the wave's coming in.
They have zero vision in the jungle. They have that one ward near mid lane, and now they don't even care about Mountain Drake. How about a 5v4 Baron?
Yeah, and Rascal has teleport. So SK Telecom without one of their key champions.
Oh, they might be able to get a 2-for-1er here as Silas not able to stand up to Rise right now. The damage going in onto the Baron, but they're considering moving away from it as they get the inhibitor here. They don't want to go for
respect.
Yeah, they don't want to go for any smite fights, especially after game number 1. I kind of agree with them as Clid and Teddy both in form on that one.
Now Kingzone, they're going to pick up the mountain. This will cause the Elder to spawn. The one thing that we haven't seen, though, is a team fight.
Yeah, still waiting on that. Now SKT in a bit of trouble here. Down a lot of gold, but the team is going up. And okay, it's their turn. On a ward, they don't even care. They're just going to start it up here. Khan is not in the pit doing damage.
There is virtually no Khan.
Oh, he's trying to now get on top of Pawn, but there's the Chaos Storm. Big knock-up. He's going to get the kill on the Depth, who just gets turned on. But an assassination from Pawn, who is going to flash to safety. Now Cuz here, all alone. Pawn's clone is going to try, and Cuz, can he actually get away? Looks like he might be able to.
Turret died!
United. Oh boy! Wait, look at the base, Rascal! He's taking out those turrets. They're trying to delay all of those backs here. Can he get this turret? Looks like he should be able to. What? Oh, that's going to be able to, actually. As it was blocked. And the Super Minion's helping out, but it's 4v1, and Rise not able to do it alone. As a nice attempt here, but the turret stays alive.
FLICKR having to actually turn around for that one minion. And now he's going to have to push out the wave, but Pawn and Rascal have teleport, and so it's really fortunate that last Nexus turret survived, but it is extremely frail.
Yes, it is, and well, now that they have Rascal down, it's SKT's turn to start the Baron. But
they don't have FLICKR.
Pawn getting into the back line, but that is a gigantic shield. As Cuz goes in, they do a lot of damage. Huge taunt from the side of Tucson. It's going to catch 4 on the back side, but the GA is down here for Cuz. Zimana and Clid getting extremely low.
They're going to get the Baron, I think.
Gonna come down to the spike. Cuz not able to do it on the backside. Clid is going to get that one. And now they're trying to get out with a bunch of recalls.
Rise is coming.
Kingzone trying to get into the backside here as Rise going 1v3. He's going to take out one. Can't quite take out Clid, but he's extremely low. Depth is not going to help out, but the double kill comes in anyway. As the leash there on the FLICKR.
They have a wave in top lane.
Oh, they're going in. Oh, they're thinking about it. Wave pushing in now as Rascal is going to do it. Tucson and Pawn trying to stop the backs, but FLICKR was able to get back here alongside of Teddy. But is it going to matter as the fight is turning up to Rascal, who goes in alone and just gets blown up with that turret?
And can they hold the Nexus turret?
Oh, it's so low. It's going to live 57 health. And that turret is a god. It does not go down.
That turret does not go down no matter what is thrown its way. As SK Telecom They hung on with a sliver, and look at the Baron duration, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Look at the Elder spawn. It's going to persist through Elder. And the one thing that Kingzone had going for them is they had teleport on so many members. That's no longer a thing now. We take a look at this team fight inside of the Baron. Cuz getting so low, Teddy so strong with that Bloodthirster and just the on-hit for the Varus. And you can see Kingzone, they are trying to attack SK Telecom from every single angle. And they were trying to hang on for Rise to arrive into this fight. Gravity Field came down, they popped the Gravity Field. Banshee's Veil popped, and then it was a full-on retreat where it couldn't seem like either team really knew how they wanted to conduct themselves in this. You can see Deft actually wasting quite a bit of time getting the red in the golem, so he's late to the turret. FLICKR ends up stalling just long enough. Beautiful stopwatch, holding the aggro and allowing Teddy to get in there in time. And so now in a straight-up team fight, SK Telecom will win 99 out of 100 times. Kingzone are reduced to guerrilla warfare now if they want to win this game.
They've been relying on that the entire game as well. It's been all about those picks as Teddy is on guard, but the inhibitor has respawned, so going to be much harder to get on in there and start damaging those turrets now, but gonna have to wait and see what happens as Teddy is really just hanging back there, almost expecting a Rise to come over the wall or something.
Elder spawning now in 3 seconds. Kingzone, they do have the mountain. Will they just flip the coin?
Well, they're going to go for another pick.
They have Pawn in top lane, and it's important to note that Khan does not have teleport.
Massive shield as FLICKR with his death cap trying to turn it here. He's going to steal that one, but Teddy's going to take that one, make it 2, as Pawn is not even in the fight. He's pushing the lanes as Kingzone. You mentioned guerrilla warfare. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
It's all that they can do at this point is the guerrilla warfare tactics to keep them alive in this game.
Oh boy, Clid in a bunch of trouble. No culling to come out here as Rascal trying to go 1v2, but has to be careful.
They get it!
That last stun, okay. Redemption coming on in. Trying to do that damage to Mana, but it's not going to be enough as Mana will tank it up, and they get another kill.
And that should be the Elder going over. Teddy and Mana should just be able to two-man it. You can see Deft is saying, all right, how do we do this? What are we going to coordinate? As Pawn on there with the Monolith LeBlanc in top lane. Doesn't quite know what to do. This is going to be a 5-man Elder Dragon that is now going to persist once again into the next Baron.
And it will. SKT, a gigantic objective for them. As Clid is going to smite that one down. We take another look at how they try to get onto FLICKR, but it doesn't work out.
It just doesn't work out. Silas is in the end game here. And Kingzone, they're getting smacked around.
Teddy does a little bit of damage by now as Rascal. Oh,
great vision play by SKT to bring Rascal down here. And I mean, you really gotta appreciate the efforts that Kingzone are going to. They recognize at least that they can't win straight up anymore. And they're trying to do all these smoke and mirror plays to try to get some footing that can let them back into the game. I believe that Nexus turret's actually very healthy again.
It's getting up there. It is regenning.
Yeah, he's regenning.
But we do have the Lich Bane completed here on Pawn. And there are very slippery members you mentioned. I mean, we could get Shen in the mix as well. We have potentially 3 teleports. So you guys remember what happened with Tarzan making his way into the base and putting down a ward and ending the game. SKT have to be so careful to go for any objective because I don't think Kingzone are ever going to handshake another team fight again in this game.
And this is such a beautiful state of League of Legends. If the inhibitor turrets were all still up, I would just say that it's basically over for Kingzone. But because these 2 inhibitors are exposed and there's 1 Nexus turret remaining, with those teleports present on the side of Kingzone, it's still a slippery slope. The walk that SKT have to do is to somehow coordinate all the lanes to pulsate evenly and then demand that Kingzone come to them and gravitate towards them. Because if Kingzone are able to just constantly jump throughout the side lanes, use their teleport advantages, use their mobility to run around the map, SK Telecom can never utilize their objective control.
We got Victor down here as well. Pong gonna flash away from this one and double distort to get to safety. You can see how carefully SKT are playing this backdoor situation. No Baron on the cards just yet.
Really beautiful League of Legends at this stage. Kingzone are not just tilting and keeling over. They are sticking it out inside of this game. They're playing to what their win con is right now. And SK Telecom, finally at this stage of the game, are managing side lanes correctly and being cautious. Oh, actually, that's not as healthy as I had thought that it would have been. That region's very slow.
It is. It's certainly a question as to why exactly it is so slow. And SKT, they've been, I mean, everybody's been watching the LCK nowadays if you're a team in here, and there have been so many backdoors that have happened in recent times, so you have to know 100% they're like, well, we don't want to lose to this again, as, okay, if that hits,
yeah,
Tucson probably dies. That's okay, now we're engaging onto Glid here on the right
very
side.
Split up.
They're trying to turn it around here, though. The Cataclysm trying to get on top of everybody. They're on the chase now.
That's a wasted Chaos Storm.
Now, not going to do that much, but FLICKR getting into the back line is going to get the stun. Oh, the stopwatch is so good. Cuz is going to live, but oh boy. Going in alone there was Rascal. Not sure about that one. Thought the fight was starting, as now they're going to start the Baron.
Def needs to be a hero. He doesn't seem to know how.
How are they going to get in there? There's no...
Glid lived again!
Oh, Glid!
Oh my
He's
God!
going to get out! Cuz gets in there, but it goes the way of FLICKR! Somehow, some way, they're going to kill the two of them, too. The Baron will go the way of SKT.
And now I think, Khan, you just teleport to the minion wave. You tell LeBlanc that you've had enough. Actually, he's just staying inside of the base.
Wants to save it for the back door, perhaps. Really taking it carefully.
I think that, they are captain careful.
Yeah. New superhero.
40 seconds on the Camille, 28 on the Shen, 12 until Rascal comes online, but it's really not going to matter when you're melee Rise against the Victor and Varus. I think that's all she wrote, Valdez.
We'll have to wait and see as FLICKR hopping on in there. Lots of damage comes out from Pawn, and Rise has respawned, but look at the damage coming out of Khan right now. It's unbelievable. As they catch Rise on the left side, there it is. Make it look so easy as the culling comes in too, and that's gonna be it. Game number 2. Once again, we'll go to SKT as they get the 2-0 lead.
And SK Telecom were faltering so hard in the mid-game. Khan and FLICKR constantly being out of position, but they brought it together. They held on long enough and then salvaged the game state against a very difficult position of exposed inhibitors, almost an open nexus. In Kingzone, they fought valiantly towards the end. I thought that they would have probably just broke down and tried to coin flip a fight, but no, instead, they played to their remaining win conditions. And is that a testament to where their mental fortitude is at right now, or is it going to shatter down 0-2, like what I mentioned earlier before we even kicked off the broadcast?
Yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of disappointed faces right now, especially Rascal and Deft seem to be the most disappointed here. Coach Hirai giving them a talking to after that one. As you mentioned the Smoke and Mirrors, I would have liked to see a little bit more, actually. Just like put down a bunch of wards, and if SKT ever try to start a Baron or try to go for a push or anything, you just immediately start flanking from every side, trying to take out inhibitors, trying to backdoor. But they go for the pick instead, and essentially, eventually, force a team fight that they were always going to lose.
One of the things that would have been really interesting, and I know it's like a dream scenario, but with the Stand United on Shen and all of the teleports, if someone just sells an item and gets Olmwrecker, disables the Nexus turret, stand united, and everyone teleports in.
I like that idea. They might have won the game that way.
Maybe.
You know?
Who knows? But
and if they don't have Baron recall, if they do it before the Baron dies, maybe you can do it. I mean, you got a good 7 seconds. Maybe that was the play.
I'm trying to think who gets the MVP this game. And
maybe FLICKR. He did some good work on the Sylas.
I don't think
he also got the Baron.
He got the Baron one time. I think you give it again to Teddy. I think you give it again to Teddy, or you end up giving it to Mata. And the reason that I say that is because Khan and FLICKR were part of the reason they got into the bad position in the first place. They were constantly overextending inside of lanes. They were being needlessly greedy for minion waves. And it was allowing Kingzone to constantly keep getting these picks that allowed them to accelerate their gold and capitalize on SK Telecom's shortcomings. And even if they end up waking up and having good play in the late game, they got there because the other members of SKT were able to hold on and bring them to that point.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine giving MVP to Connor FLICKR.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what they decide towards the end here, as another pretty close game, right? It did get to that late game state that SKT were happy with, but really could have gone either way there, even at the end for Kingzone. So really excited to see if they can turn this around, or are we just going to have the clean sweep of SKT as you did predict if it does go to 2-0. The games are still close. I'd like to see another close one for Game 3.
Yeah.
And guys, we are going to join you after a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We are back here in the midst of SKT versus Kingzone DragonX. Score currently 2-0, although the first two games have been quite close, and Kingzone have been putting up a great fight up against a strong team. SKT has turned out to be the stronger team so far.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people watching last game would have looked at it and thought that it was very messy or very sloppy. And I look at that like it was very beautiful towards the end, and the reason that I say that is because SK Telecom, they were floundering around in the mid into late game transition. Con and FLICKR constantly being caught out in the side lanes, greedy pushing for gold, but Kingzone recognized their final win condition in the game, the only out they still had left, and they played to it valiantly for 10-15 minutes straight almost, and SK Telecom, they held on and really sealed themselves up, and they ended up persevering straight into the victory. And now we jump in to pick ban for game number 3, Rek'Sai in the window, followed by the Kalista. Now Rise being banned away next. This does mean that Lissandra is potentially on the table for SK Telecom. Will they go with the Jace? But now
FLICKR's smile, he's like, yeah, let's ban the Corki. So maybe we're going to pick up that Lissandra very early.
Well, Braum banned away, which is very interesting. It looks like they want to elect for the Sylas instead of the Jace or the Lissandra, and so now will Kingzone respond with Lissandra?
FLICKR able to pick up his first win on the champion just in that last game, as Kingzone going to return to similar stuff from the first game. They will first pick that Tom Kents, but then also Jarvan going to be picked up here.
Jarvan picked up. Galio is available for SK Telecom if they want it. It's not likely to be picked up by Kingzone, but when you already have the Sylas, Galio can be extremely powerful. There it is. They are hovering it. They will lock it in. As well, if you're SKT at this point, do you continue on with the Varus trend, or maybe you just pick Vayne at this point?
Yeah, it would be interesting to
Another option
pick it up this early.
Be to get the Jace already. There is a jungler banned away, but there's still so many available.
Yeah.
All right.
Jace, it looks like, is going to be... Nope.
Oh,
okay.
Ezreal.
Ezreal, last second. Teddy wants to do a little bit of 1v9ing, as he did the last time.
Sivir coming in as a response. And so now Kingzone moving into the second ban phase here. You have to wonder if the Sylas is top lane, and if the Galio is going to go mid. But I think that you just pinch the jungler pool even more. You try to restrict it to exactly your liking, but they're not doing that. They're saying, okay, we're not going to give Khan the Jace, even though Kingzone have the counter pick. One of the lesser talked about things in patch 9.6 is the Yorick still exists against the Jace. We're not seeing teams pick it. We've seen a tippering off of many champions as well in recent times. Maybe the Jace ban is also a foreshadowing of Ornn potentially coming.
It had a lot of engage to a comp that already has a nice amount with the Jarvan and the Sivir alongside of it. What else are they going to consider banning, though? Taking their time here with the second one is going to be the Lissandra that did last all the way to the second round.
So they are respecting the possibility that Sylas just goes top lane. And it's very bizarre when you have to be the one to ban the Lissandra, even though you have the counter pick available. And we've seen many counter picks pop up around the world. It's not just the Corki. Gangplank now being banned away. Jace is considered the only champion that can actually threaten him on this current patch. Maybe we'll see a Kayle. Probably not, though. Snail. Maybe some say that she's still coming.
She's very slow, as snails are. And, well, the 10 and 10 Kennen is going to be the pick here. into the top lane, partially blind.
And it's blind, yeah. Hovering a Vayne, but very doubtful that that is going to be the case, as Akali now being hovered. Does have a way out of the Cataclysm. Also can be relatively slippery. And SKT are going to pick it up. So that is likely going to guarantee, for sure, that Galio is going to end up support. Not going to have a Sylas support by any means. Kha'Zix. I caught myself. What?
Kha'Zix?
You need to slow down.
Yeah, Kha'Zix is going to come in here. We don't see him all the time,
yeah.
But some nice assassination potential for Clid.
As you're mentioning, we really don't see Kha'Zix. He was impacted by the jungler nerfs several patches ago. And then he's just had a relatively hard time in the current meta.
Okay.
And it looks like Shurima is going to hit the rift as Azir is coming out. And so that's going to be a Kennen versus Sylas in the top lane. Likely going to be Kleptomancy. A very big blast to the past, Sivir Azir for Kingzone.
Really putting their bags in that late game basket, which is kind of interesting. I suppose they felt a little bit better with game number 1's outcome from the draft, so they picked something similar. Obviously, the Corki not given to them as it was banned, but Azir can do his own fair share of scaling into that late game. They also have a nice amount of engage with the Kennen and the Jarvan.
Triple teleport as well on the side of Kingzone, so match point. They're going to put all their eggs into the scaling basket. And we're going to have to see how that works out for them here against SKT. Galio, Ezreal, Akali, Kha'Zix, and Sylas on the side of SK Telecom. Very powerful 2-item wake up, but definitely has some scaling components that can go into the later stages. Not nearly as strong as Kingzone's, but they're not out of it at 3 items per se.
Yeah. Excited for Teddy's Ezreal.
Yeah.
That's really the one I'm looking at there for SKT.
That is the big highlight potentially, as Kingzone, Kennen, Jarvan the Fourth, Azir, Sivir, and Thomas Kench down there in the bottom lane to act as a safety net. Now this is the team that's trying to go late game and then have wombo combo engages backed up by the Sivir raw DPS.
Looks like a fun and exciting comp here. Let's jump into it for game 3. How about a call start to get things going even faster?
Deft has accepted his face down in the bottom lane.
Yeah. As Halo Blades here also for Pawn on the Azir.
It's going to be a little bit interesting against FLICKR on the Akali. We'll see how it ends up working out for him. If Kingzone's team composition falls behind, it is important to note that unless all the gold is inside of Ezreal, it's still going to be pretty difficult for SK Telecom to raise turrets. And so Sivir and Azir are still going to be able to sit back comfortably and continue farming. Minion Dematerializer for both of them.
Yeah.
Ghost Burrow for Kingzone. I do like that.
It's funny how even after the change, Minion Dematerializer is still taken by supports, mid laners, and everyone, basically.
Well, it's a very all-in type of Sylas Electrocute.
Yeah.
Definitely not one I see that often, as Cuz is going to be starting on the blue buff. Leashless. You like that? I can't
You
speak
okay
today.
over
No,
there?
I'm really not. Allergies are really clouding my head.
You buying that house without a lease, or like what's going on?
Well, Clid looks like he wants to 3-path into bottom Scuttle Crab, but Cuz gonna start getting that Scuttle Crab right away. SK Telecom are gonna know about it. So he's opting for a full clear. And this is a little bit surprising because you could look at Kingzone and think to yourself, well, can Clid actually gank any of my laners? And the answer is no. So what is the obligation to stunt the rubber band on all of your camps and get these scuttle crabs really early? Now, if he goes crab to crab and then proceeds into Krugs, I guess that's not the worst route. And then he does a wraparound, and that could end up being okay. He would end up getting slightly later rubber band camps on the Raptors and Krugs, but he has the 2 scuttle crabs to amplify his clear. And we'll see if he proceeds right into red, or where is he going to go?
See a ton of inspiration second on this patch. As so many people have it. Also, Ravenous Hunter, really good. As everybody who did go into domination did end up picking that up.
FLICKR just trying to sustain here in mid lane against this Azir. Dematerializer having to be used. He's down 5 CS, not the end of the world. And Teddy is putting on quite some hurt down in bottom lane. Deft has teleport, so it's not the end of the world. Deft also has +1 CS right now, as he has 16 call stacks. Jarvan trying to come down to offset the pressure, but if this gank goes poorly, it's going to end up putting Deft and Tushin behind. Curious if SKT is going to read it.
Going to miss on the flag and drag for the Ezreal. And then just gets gobbled up. Runs away. Still in the bush. Just now he's backing as Mata, thinking about it, but not going to take the risk. Yeah, Lepto in the top lane here should be the AP for this cannon.
Not totally sure about the electrocute. I'm waiting to be made a believer in it, because it just seems so difficult to reliably proc it consistently against the cannon, especially in the later stages, but we'll see. FLICKR getting bullied a little bit, but Rascal's very low. Khan is out of mana. Does have a biscuit available, but Clid nowhere near. So Khan's just gonna have to recall.
Yeah, just recalling there, and of course Rascal is gonna do the same. Deft still stacking up the cull. It's the only item he's got in his inventory right now. Very different compared to the 6-item cannon poggers in the top lane. Feels good, man.
Scuttle Crab now spawning. Bottom river, but SK Telecom, they're the ones with priority. Cuz is committing a lot to this. I think that Tushin wanted to come over to see if he could get the Tongue Lash Devour combo and maybe steal it away. It's not going to be the case, and Infernal Dragon being the first one of the game, super important for both of these team compositions. A little bit more so for SK Telecom. They have 4 members that can really use that amplification, whereas on Kingzone only really have 3.
Thought maybe Rascal would go in on that one, as he was level 6 and Khan was level 5, but decided against it. Perhaps didn't have enough energy to get the whole combo down. Yeah, just farming it up here. As we do have another lull state in the beginning of this game, kind of like game number 2, and as we mentioned, Kingzone going to be happy about that one with their scaling comp.
And so now, at this point, Khan trying to continuously push in Rascal on this cannon. Trying to do whatever he can to try to set up lethal, potentially in top lane, as Cuz is making his way towards the top-hand side of the map. But if he ends up getting spotted on a ward, they could convert the bottom lane pressure into the Infernal capture. And now Tushin gonna have to come over and potentially check on it. Doesn't actually commit to checking it all the way. A little bit surprising.
That was kind of interesting that he didn't go. He's going to go now. and be happy to see that there's no Kha'Zix doing it. But Lid going back down could attempt it, but would be pretty hard. Looking now with the red buff at opportunities in the blue side jungle here, maybe for the blue pass off. Doesn't end up committing to it, especially because Tucson is nearby.
A really safe game here coming out from both sides. Blue buff handoff is successful. The problem with it, though, is that Pawn has not any good items. That was a really weird way of saying it. But basically, he hasn't
got
recalled.
there.
I got there in the end. Dragged it across the finish line. The allergies are really destroying my brain today.
Don says, well, this tool is effective at pushing.
That was actually a really nice slicing Maelstrom. I really liked that because he's trying to convert it into a plate capture up here in top. He doesn't actually want to get into melee range of the turret because then Rascal could just slicing Maelstrom and guarantee that Khan would take some turret shots. And then because Clid isn't in close enough proximity yet, it's not like going tit for tat would be that wise of a trade. Instead, red buff gonna be stolen away. And what type of lane manipulation can Khan do to potentially set Rascal up for a dive? Doesn't look like any. And Cuz is about to be a pretty sad camper here as the EQ is over.
He's not going to have his red, but at least he saved all the Raptors. And we'll get those. First plate does go to Khan in the top lane. As you did mention, the slow push eventually gets him that extra gold. Like how he's also got 2 biscuits in his inventory, just waiting for the right moment to use those.
Well, here in mid lane, FLICKR has recovered and fixed the CS differential. And so SK Telecom now find themselves 300 gold ahead. I'm sure that quite a bit of that is actually inside of the Kleptomancy on the Ezreal. Imagine that he is proccing it a little bit more reliably than the Ken.
Also, the plate gives a nice amount of gold as
really nice pushback by Def.
Yeah.
All right, we're scaling.
Yeah, we're just you know, sitting back, taking a little break.
Are you excited for Avengers Endgame?
Yeah.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah, can't wait.
I think you're sarcastic. I think the game's getting to you.
I just, you know, it's my favorite series, the Avengers series.
Yeah. Yeah, who's in the Avengers?
Aquaman, Spider-Man definitely is in there.
You got one.
Is he really?
Spider-Man is, yeah.
Oh. It's funny, I was choosing him because I thought he was I thought he wasn't in the Avengers. Ultimate use here by Clid as he's desperately trying to get some action going. He doesn't care about the Avengers.
Yeah. Definitely does not.
We might get some action here on the Infernal. As, well.
Control ward, yeah.
They're thinking about it, yeah.
Pit. This is a...
First Infernal of the series, actually.
Yeah, this is an extremely fun game here.
FLICKR,
definitely as action-packed as game 1 and 2.
Yeah. It's good stuff. You see FLICKR play a lot of Akali and solo queue. You have to know that this guy is extremely practiced on this champion.
Doesn't actually end up hitting the dragon. With that, Gust was Mata. Might have been able to do a little bit more damage had he aggroed the Infernal Drake. Could have potentially hit them a little bit more. FLICKR places a ward down right in front of the control ward.
Observer hop back, he was like, maybe we can get some damage here. And it actually did push Tushin a little bit out of lane as he is going to go for a back.
I guess the issue is, though, is that he has the Abyssal Voyage.
Yeah, he also does have the Unsealed Spellbook. Not going to use that, though. As FLICKR's going in, he wants a kill here on a Pawn, as actually Pawn trying to turn it around. But in goes the Consume as Mata now.
Oh, Mata!
In trouble, but he gets the kill and flashes away the bloodthirsty support from downtown. Gets first blood.
What a grand entrance for First Blood. SK Telecom They picked themselves that up. Oh, Tushin not able to deny the recall. Really unfortunate, as this means that Akali is going to be able to come back and match priority and now have control over the Infernal. You can see Pawn, beautiful ultimate. Tom Kenchal was able to actually get Pawn to safety, but he got spit out into the Galio.
Oh boy.
I have to wonder who did that, because we can see that Pawn's immediate click was on the other side of Tom Kench.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's him that was clicking. So maybe it actually was Tushin. Maybe Tushin just betrayed his own team.
It's like, you're not going anywhere, buddy. Go back into the fire.
Oh man.
It is interesting that he stayed around. It's almost like he wanted to punish Mata for being under turret with the Cataclysm. Maybe Cuz was saying, wait, let's kill him. But he ended up killing his teammate instead.
Oh
and
man.
Galio lived, as Cataclysm's pretty good to lock Rascal in.
Oh wow.
As he even gets the cannon on the backside.
That's a very nice ultimate by Khan. Getting the flash out of Rascal. Flash on Kennen is so important in mid-game team fights. That's going to be down now until about 18 minutes. But coming in here, wants to solo the Rift Herald.
Yeah. Looks like he evolved that Q, so having a bit of fun. Taking out objectives pretty fast, and we'll go for that before the Infernal. And it's kind of unfortunate timing, as it is for that one. Oh, big whiff from the side, but did have a nice little wall set up to help him up against that Akali. Generally, Akali doesn't care about walls, but was enough to deter that, as the Rift Herald will go the way of Clid.
And it is 14 minutes, so no turret plate's going to be able to be captured. And right now, if you're a Kingzone fan, one of the things that you can sit back comfortably and relax about is that they have the late game scaling. SK Telecom are not that far ahead. This is a very similar song and dance as game number 1, except now the roles are reversed. Or game number 2, where the roles are now reversed. Kingzone are going to be the ones with the wave clear and the ability to deny pushes.
Yeah.
And SK Telecom are going to be the ones that are reduced to somehow convincing Kingzone to come out of their base. Now, Infernal Drakes and Mountain Drakes are certainly a way to do it. And so maybe SK Telecom, they're just going to roll better. That's how it works.
It's a good way. I like that strategy. And yeah, I mean, that Infernal, extremely important for scaling team, but also both teams. I mean, a lot of damage on the side of SKT. Even from the jungle, they both love an Infernal. In this one would help SKT even scale a bit better than they do. As we have had a bit of action in the top lane. Nobody has died, though, and the CS is basically exactly even. So not too much from us there.
Kingzone maybe want to just start this Infernal.
Looks like it. Two-shot barrage is used on the wave.
Wow, they're just going to get it.
Yeah, it's just going to go down, and I mean, SKT didn't seem like they had any idea, or if they did, they just said, yeah, let them have it. And we have another Infernal coming up in 5 minutes.
And so Kingzone are sitting pretty right now, as they don't have to do anything anymore. No neutral objectives on the map. Go ahead, summon the Rift Herald. All right, doesn't look like they want to do it. SK Telecom,
they don't have to listen to you.
Yeah, they're going to get the first turret of the game up there in top lane, and now Deft and Tushin, they're going to be the ones pushing back. SK Telecom are going to be diminished to a team fighting team composition, and they're going to have their work cut out for them. And so now, can SK Telecom do here in game number 3 what Kingzone failed to do in game number 2?
Yeah. And if they can, that would be very convincing that SKT, in fact, are the better team. You can win on both sides of the coin. Obviously, it's not the exact same composition, but it's very similar in terms of the way that it does play out. As Clid, he's going hunting. He's going to be in there for a long time, as with that red smite, man, he does damage flashing on in. He will be able to get the kill. But now he's in the Cataclysm and is not going to be able to do much as FLICKR looking for it here. The Devour does come in, but we have Khan in here as well as Pawn goes down. Looked like almost in the belly there, maybe to the Ignite, as FLICKR was able to pick up another kill.
That was a very nice clutch pickup as well, as now they don't have the wave clear necessary to hold this mid-tier 1-0, man.
The double taunts, they're at least going to get Cuz here. FLICKR and Khan looking for more. They have Cataclysm, but they do get the teleport out of Rascal. And meanwhile all across the map, down in the bottom lane, the push is going on. SKT trying to accelerate this game.
And not only that, but getting the key teleport out of Rascal means that he won't have it unless he moves into the bottom lane to be in close proximity for the upcoming Infernal Drake. Rift Herald summon in mid lane. Talk about all the time how important the mid-tier 1 turret is for champions like Azir, Victor, Zoe, Xerath. And so if it ends up falling here, which doesn't look like it's going to, I don't think Shelly's going to get a charge.
Whoa.
No, she's really angry.
I think she's dancing.
She's dancing.
She's having a lot of fun in this game.
Yeah, dancing right into her demise. It's like watching the Titanic 2.
More like Rip Herald.
I see
get
what
it?
you did there. That was so
funny.
Oh!
Thanks for the leash, says Pawn. As take another look at how Deft did not see this coming at all.
Yeah, quite literally. I mean, he was even, I believe, channeling his recall right there. Didn't have anywhere to go. Cuz and Tushin able to wrap him up right at the very end there. FLICKR coming in, which was very interesting because I would have expected that the Emperor's Divide came out sooner instead of the Devour. But then this was Cuz and Tushin staying underneath the turret a lot longer than they were allowed to, getting a lot of valuable summoners was SKT. In the end, though, tier 1 turret still held in mid. Infernal Drake, minute and a half. Khan has teleport available. Rascal does not. This should be an Infernal Drake being picked up by SKT.
Should be. We'll see if that does come to fruition, though. Still a minute on the clock here before that does show its face. As already trying to set up for it, it looks like, is the side of SKT. Mata going back, maybe wants to pick up another control ward. Not quite able to make that redemption yet, which is pretty unfortunate. Would be nice to have for the team fight that's coming in, as now Teddy's got a blue buff, and we all know what happens when Teddy starts to get going.
Well, Teddy is going to be the one saving grace in the out for SK Telecom the longer that this game goes on, is it's going to come down to the Ezreal poke to try to keep them alive against the Sivir and the Azir if this game ends up going 30, 35 minutes without SK Telecom amassing a large enough advantage to convert into Baron captures and then try to bulldoze through the enormous amount of wave clear on the side of Kingzone. Trying to force Deft back. As 3 seconds until the Infernal Drake is up, it does look like Clid is in position to just eat this. What is that itemization? Edge of Night.
Yeah.
Is the first lethality item of choice. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
It's interesting. I mean, it allows him.
Yeah.
It allows him to get in to the back line a little bit more efficiently.
Okay.
And, you know, obviously you're giving up some other stats and stuff, but I suppose that's one of the better utility offensive items, you could say.
He just used it. Is he going to jump on Azir?
Yeah, he's going in. Well, it's not going to last long enough as he is knocked into the turret, but will get the kill. As, yeah, Pawn also used his flash on top of the Kha'Zix.
Pawn said he felt bad. He's like, here, here.
Take me with you.
You should have had me.
Here, you deserve this. It was a good play, I agree.
A for effort.
There you go. Pressure in the mid lane, too, means that Teddy is even going to steal the wolf.
And
He's
right now,
putting his dominance right now onto the Rift.
SKT, they have an Infernal Drake. They have a 3,000 gold lead. But I would still say the edge is still currently in Kingzone's favor. As, take another look at this. Edge of Night popped. Pawn does the Emperor's Divide, says, you know what? Here, take me. he has a thing for insects.
Yeah.
All right.
Feels good.
Yep. So,
And,
well, Azir is a bird after all.
There you go.
Maybe he likes. Maybe he's not. No, I don't know where I'm going with that. You gotta,
you know, like,
you gotta come in a little bit earlier to save me. When
no, I was just seeing where you were going with it. I was very curious.
I was waiting for you to be the con to my faker right there. You know, teleport in.
Not today.
I was behind enemy lines, but
yeah.
All right. Mata and Teddy clearing out vision here in mid lane. Kingzone, no obligation to go out on the map at all. They should just simply not push waves, wait for all the waves to come into their tier 2 turrets, and then keep farming them over and over and over until 3 and 4 items. It sounds like a very fun experience. Well, correct experience.
You get the zoom in there onto Deft. He does have his Infinity Edge. Sivir in the LCK has a pretty bad, I'll just say, win rate. As now we're jumping onto Pawn again. This poor bird. See if he can go down as FLICKR just Zhonya's and is going to ult over the wall. As now Khan in a little bit of trouble, but is going to be able to flash away from that one.
Teddy, meanwhile, in mid lane, pushing on valiantly as he's looking to raise this mid-tier 2 turret.
Oh boy, running right in there, Rascal. Now he's the one that owns the Rift, just running at SKT.
And so now, here in this game, Mountain Drake coming up in 1 minute and 50 seconds. SK Telecom trying to get something done, but not going to be able to. They'll have to try to use Mountain Drake to lure Kingzone out of the base. But if Kingzone is wise, they shouldn't take the bait and go for a fight. It would be the opening that SK Telecom would need to try to bring them down and convert it into a Baron capture. But maybe Kingzone has other plans in mind.
Well, they're at least going to clear out the wards here, as really being careful about that one. Pawn returns to the top lane, and looks like he should be able to get this turret. Not much that Khan can do, and he's got a lot of attack speed, so Azir will be able to chunk down some of these turrets if he does get in range.
Mountain coming up in 58 seconds. Khan shoving the wave back immediately, only to be ping-ponged by one of the scaling champions on Kingzone. And FLICKR now going to do the exact same thing down here in bottom lane. As Deft shoving in one last wave, cannon wave, before the recall. A little bit surprised that Tushin didn't just utilize the Tongue Lash Devour to get it and split the gold between the two. Definitely a little bit of a lost opportunity. Klid trying to come in here to maybe catch Rascal out of position. He doesn't have the teleport available for the Mountain.
I've been a fan of the Kha'Zix play so far, even though he did take a couple of deaths. He's definitely opening up the map for his team while looking for those picks. He's got one level on Cuz here. As okay, we're going in. FLICKR gonna use that ultimate as he's going all the way downtown, and that's gonna get him low enough to get the kill. As the teamwork is in for SKT.
SK Telecom off that Thomas Kench kill. They're gonna be able to get the Scuttle Crab and the Drake. Pawn might have to use teleport to get out here. Yeah.
Yeah. Not wasting any time with that one. As SKT just going for the Drake here. It's theirs. No way for Kingzone to steal this one.
Well, Klid gonna pick that up right at the end. What's gonna be the next spawn? A Clown Drake will grace the Rift next. As we take a look at how this was all coordinated, FLICKR just goes in really hard. Thick Skin came out, but it wasn't thick enough. As the True Shot Barrage able to just finalize that kill there for Teddy. And so now with the Mountain Drake, some possibilities are opened up to SKT. surrounding the Baron. That is the one true objective. Kingzone can take solace in knowing that a worthless dragon is the one spawning next. And so they don't have to capture that. There's no obligation for them to come out of their turtled area, as the dragon won't really do anything for SKT.
Okay, well, we've seen this before from Kingzone. Looks like Mata knows, and he's going in. He's going to be the one taking it up. Stun goes down on a FLICKR too. Mata, quite tanky, but not tanky enough to tank all 5 members. FLICKR also had to use his ultimate there, so nice pick from the side of Kingzone.
The problem for Kingzone, though, is inside of this angle, you can't actually start the Baron. Sylas would be able to come over, steal the Kennen ultimate, and then just hit a 5-man slicing Maelstrom. Backed up by the poke from Ezreal, would just end up being disastrous. And so they do get the kill onto Mata, but that's going to have to be all that they find themselves content with. As now the game goes back into a little bit of a lull state, and the question continues on. Can Teddy carry SK Telecom through a team fight on the Ezreal? She's the only hope that they have.
Yeah, it does feel that way. And, I mean, he's super fed. 360 CS already. His bounty is the old 800 bounty right now. And he's got 3.5 items, almost 4 at this point with the two pieces there. So this guy, we've seen it before. He can kind of just carry by himself on the Ezreal, which is why we were expecting between these 280 carries, the Ezreal to be a higher priority pick. Finally comes out here in Game 3. Has been doing well so far, but still waiting for that big pop-off moment.
At this stage of the game, SK Telecom trying to utilize some good wave manipulation tactics. Pawn is always on an adventure in the side lane. Not having teleport, not quite sure what he's doing.
Oh, the Baron
They
is
need him to
started
wave
here.
clear.
Okay, FLICKR, though, trying to assassinate.
Oh, he got
He's
caught!
gonna get him! And he also has a Shroud. Look at him do that damage. And now he's got a Galio to come in and save him. FLICKR, with the assassination, totally shuts down the Baron attempt.
And this is the type of breakdown that I worried that Kingzone might start having. They're not playing to what their team comp is supposed to do.
Oh, they're going for kills now, too.
Oh,
Kingzone
no.
hanging around way too much. They do have the turret from the Azir as well as that.
Kind of slicing Maelstrom.
Look at this. They're just hurting them into this top side. You're all right. We could have double Maelstrom coming in as that turret really wants to kill Clid. So, not in range, turret, you're wrong.
Right now, yeah.
I mean, this is just, we're hurting
Here
them
it
in.
comes!
Oh, the 4-man taunt into the slicing Maelstrom from both parties as Kingzone are going to be demolished. They do a lot of damage with their own slicing Maelstrom, but it's not enough. Only Cuz will survive as he wasn't there.
And SK Telecom now, with all of these kills, they're going to push on, raise the top tier 2 turret. They have the Mountain Drake. I think they can push on for the inhibitor. And it's going to be Cuz is the only remaining member. You can see that he's doing janitor duty in the side lanes. He's coming back in, but Cuz, you don't need to actually be here. They can't push on for the Nexus. They're not going to anyway. Not sure why you came all the way back. He just wanted to see his own inhibitor fall. As SKT, they're going to be the ones recalling and now posturing for the Baron. But first, I do think that you just take the Clown Drake off the map, get the Elder spawn timer coming up. Now, if you're a Kingzone fan, well, I'll talk about that in a second. As we can see, Kingzone's mental fortitude not quite here in game number 3. They're taking a desperation Baron, unwilling to scale up like their team comp wants them to, not playing to their win cons. And like you said here, Valdez, they were getting herded into this turret. Turret can play GoldenEye all that it wants. Slicing Maelstrom comes in, destroys all the members from Kingzone as they are pinned up against the Summoner's Rift wall. And Cuz had to watch on as he's running there as fast as he can as Jarvan. But then he just decides, you know what, actually I'm just not going there.
Nothing he could do, he was too late, and now with the Mountain Drake, SKT are starting it up, but they are going to be spotted They don't want to go for any 50-50s, so not going to go for it. Even though Jarvan was in the base, Splid was pretty low.
SKT, they didn't get the Cloud Drake as fast as they should have, and so that's going to still prove to be a little bit of a thorn in their side. Now, if you're a Kingzone fan, you're looking at this. Kingzone's down 5.7, 5.8K. They're not out of the game yet. This is an identical situation to SKT Game 2. Azir and Sivir, wave clear for days. SK Telecom need Baron to win the game. Top inhibitor, doesn't matter. Closest proximity inhibitor to the Baron, which is where Kingzone are going to be planted around. They need to hold the phalanx inside of the red side jungle and never let SK Telecom into it. And then SKT cannot get the Baron. Azir and Sivir can deny it endlessly. As long as Kingzone play this song in a dance, they should be able to hold on long enough to persevere into forcing SKT into a team fight. Then SK Telecom are going to be the ones diminished to smoke and mirrors. But SK Telecom, they have one edge, one extra ace up their sleeve, which is the Elder. Because Kingzone can't defend both the red side and the blue side jungle the same exact way.
Kingzone now posturing, trying to look for picks up in the top side. It's been the name of their game all night. But FLICKR is going to be smarter than that, and they have the split push going on the mega zoom out. As Khan is down in the bottom lane. SKT also pushing in mid, and Kingzone kind of look lost
don't know
for
what
now.
to do.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm getting flashback to the series loss. That is what is going on right here. They don't seem to know where they are. They come into bottom lane. Zoom in on Khan, not sure why. That turret is on its last leg. Khan has teleport, Mountain Drake on the side of SKT. They seem to be showing a lot of discipline. They're not starting the Baron right away, and they don't need to. This is one of the key points about the Elder, is able to force Kingzone into a guillotine. It's able to fork them by making it so that they can't be in their blue side jungle and defend it the same way they can their red side jungle.
SKT really just trying to put down as much deep vision as possible. But they're doing a pretty good job, actually. And now Teddy has shown up. He's going to be the guy that will do most of the poking. But really, he just wants that red. As 3 carries on the side of SKT. Sylas, Akali, Ezreal, all with no deaths. And with the Baron, well, trying to go for the kill down here, but he's got his own little moves. Does the Sylas, as now the Baron will be taken there by the smite of Clint.
And now with the Baron, that's going to be able to persist on long enough for SKT to definitely be in an advantageous position to capture the Elder Drake, and Kingzone can't be feeling too happy. They do have enormous amounts of wave clear, though.
They're going to be able to survive for a long time, that is for sure. Reminds you of that 90-minute game way back when. I believe it was also Azir Sivir. It was at least Azir, my memory. So you could definitely hold on for a long time. It's a different game since then, but the point still stands as the items are beginning to stack up big time for the 2 carries on the side of Kingzone.
Right now, Kingzone are going to find themselves in a pretty awkward spot, though, in about a minute and a half. As the Elder Dragon is extremely scary for the skirmishing team composition. And also the Ezreal that has 3 elemental drakes. Pawn, what are you doing?
They're going in. They want to get the kill, but that taunt was so good from the side of Mana. He's going to steal him.
No.
And now Clint's going to be able to get the kill in the back line. Rascal doesn't exist anymore. And
they weren't patient enough.
The Maelstrom doesn't even really happen, as it was seen and then it was gone, as Kingzone are getting demolished here towards the end of Game 3.
And that's going to be it, Valdez. Kingzone were not as patient as SK Telecom were in game number 2. They panicked and cracked here in the final game. And this is it.
That's going
to do it. The Nexus turrets are going to fall.
SKT looks like they're going to be going to the finals with the clean sweep of Kingzone here and made it look good towards the end. Kingzone cracked, but SKT stays super strong all the way to the end, and they will be facing off against Griffin in the finals at Jumpseal next Saturday.
And you know, one of the most impressive things for me this series is sometimes in League of Legends, analysts and casters, coaches, everyone will talk about mirror matchups and how impressive it can be for a player to play a mirror, play both sides of a matchup. Well, SK Telecom played both sides of a strategical matchup, which was the smoke and mirrors against the slow waves clear scaling, and SK Telecom piloted it better in both game number 2 and game number 3, and like you mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, showed that I think that they really just are the better team overall, and they're going to be headed on to face Griffin. And honestly, the level of play from Kingzone and SKT in the series tonight, and thinking back to some of Griffin's more recent matches, it's actually hard for me to think that SKT isn't just the person to beat going into the finals.
It does feel that way, and Griffin, of course, watching every playoff match to see who they're going to go up against. We were expecting SKT. Kingzone looked really good against Damwon, but unfortunately, it does feel like just one step up the ladder once again. As Kingzone outclassed Damwon, SKT do the same to Kingzone. But it doesn't feel like that's going to be the case in the finals. I feel like it's going to be very close. You mentioned that maybe even SKT would be the favorite going in. It's hard to argue against that. They looked really clean tonight. Not too much, I think, for Griffin to look at and say, you know, we can take advantage of this. Maybe in the pick ban would be an interesting one, and I cannot wait for that finals. It's going to be an amazing best of 5.
Yeah. Griffin, I think, are going to have their work cut out for them. Some might argue that the meta is a little bit in their favor right now, though. There has been a slight return of tanks in the top lane. Sword versus Khan is one of the main focal points of that matchup. Can Sword hang on and endure through the pressure that Khan can exert, while Chovy and Viper can get online, and can Tarzan play chess against SK Telecom? Those are going to be the big questions that Griffin fans are going to wait to see if they can be answered when these two juggernauts end up colliding to conclude Spring 2019.
Yeah, I mean, every matchup from that one is going to be fun. Of course, we get Chovy versus FLICKR once again in the mid lane, as our season MVP, Chovy, will be fighting up against the old best player in the world. As that's a cool model drawing.
Igyatso, but with Sangxia and so so means cow for those that don't know.
Yeah, it says Model 1, but it's a play on the word of win, to win.
Yeah.
And instead of the normal ending, they use the word for cow.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mid FLICKR. Lots of fans and the audience probably waiting to see the winner's interview.
Yeah. And you can see, I mean, this SKT fan group is gigantic, not even just on the side of SKT, but throughout the entire stadium.
Yeah.
SKT, the fan favorite coming into this one. And, well, the fans got what they wanted. I would have liked to see some more games. I thought they were relatively even for some of it, but SKT, the obvious better team here with the 3-0. So we are going to hear from the entire team, I would imagine, as we did the last time from Kingzone. So excited to hear about their thoughts going into the finals up against Griffin.
Yeah, I want to hear what their take is actually on potentially even playing the mirror in terms of the strategical aspects of how the two compositions ended up going up against one another, and also the different styles of teams that they ended up showing in games 1, 2, and 3 is definitely going to be reassuring for SKT fans, as they definitely are going to have a lot in their pocket. Kazak's pick here, getting that pick off onto Deft. And Deft was just never able to come online this game.
Good job by Clid. You mentioned how Tarzan is going to be playing chess. I feel like Clid's the guy you play chess with, and then he reaches over and punches you in the face. as he was doing a lot of that in this game.
That was Pawn's best flash.
Yeah. Top 5 in 2019.
Oh, man.
FLICKR doing some insane damage in this game. Really putting on the hurt on his Akali.
FLICKR got a lot of plays going inside of this game and helping with a lot of the acceleration as well as the penetrating in that mid lane there. And so a lot of the other members, they just had to sit back and wait. And I mean, this was another highlight because waiting till next century to flash or EQ gave FLICKR just enough time to assassinate him and bring him down and deny the Baron. But this was also the mental collapse of Kingzone, pinned against a wall, extremely clean all in by SKT right here. Deft flashing closer to Teddy, probably just wanted to give him a hug, thought it was a teddy bear. Not quite sure why he flashed there, Valdez. I'll be completely honest with you. I think he wanted to flash into next season.
Yeah, kind of feels that way.
And this was it again.
Use it while
what
you
are
can.
they doing?
This is a big question. Big question.
Break it down.
Well, this is where they forced the fight, and they did not have to with their Azir Sivir.
The Baron minions are even helping.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of cannons getting in there too.
All right.
Doing that
they'll
damage.
back later and think to themselves, I guess that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. Certainly, as you mentioned, things were kind of breaking down towards the end for Kingzone. The end of Game 3, already taking a big beating. Couldn't quite keep it going, as Teddy actually did the most damage in that one. I thought maybe it was going to be FLICKR, but of course, just Ezreal things.
Just Ezreal things.
With his poking. Another long-ish game, 37 minutes there. So, there you have it. Earning their wins, SKT. Of course, going into the finals against Griffin, looking like the favorite, but again, just how Kingzone kind of dominated Dom 1. SKT did the same to Kingzone. It feels like they're kind of different tiers, whereas SKT and Griffin should be very similar in my mind.
Yeah. SKT Griffin, I think, is going to be really the climax of the 2019 split. And what type of team comps and picks are Griffin going to use to combat SKT? We'll have to find out next week as FLICKR gets the MVP of Game 3. I do think it is deserved.
Yeah, for sure. I agree on this one. Got so many of the plays going, the damage, the picks he was able to get, all that good stuff. Opened up a lot in this game. Patches the jungler, so no hope of a Baron when 4 members are bot. Super clean as well. Great Akali play. I mentioned it during a game, but this guy plays a lot of Akali in solo queue and on stream, so he kind of knows what he's doing on that champion, and it did show in that game.
It was an excellent game, and they showed that they knew what they needed to do in order to break down the slow comp, the slow scaling comp. So we're going to head over to an interview now.
So I'm going to hand it over to Jisun. She'll do the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is SK Telecom, the whole squad, heading up to the finals in Jamsil Indoor Stadium. Khan played FLICKR, Teddy, and Mara. Congratulations on the win, and it was a clean game score, 3-0. FLICKR, how do you feel about this win? So recently we heard that Kingzone is performing so well and they keep stepping up. So I was confident, but at the same time I felt a bit of a pressure, but I got the 3-0 victory, so I'm really satisfied. It was a perfect game. Did you expect this 3-0 sweep? Before going into games, I told my teammates, let's pick up a 3-0 victory. I just wanted to boost them up, for more confidence. I'm actually happy that we are able to pull that off in real games. So Teddy, we picked up 2 MVPs today, game 1 and 2. People said, because you came from the hard place, this isn't a hard game for you. I have to admit, this is better than the relegation series, so yeah, it was not that hard as the promotion series. Mara, how was your teamwork with Teddy today? Personally, throughout the 3 games today, I think we won the lane, so I feel really good. And Clid, well, Cuz was also praised a lot for his improved performance, so did you feel any pressure? Well, I'll have to say, you know, I did feel a bit of a pressure, but well, we did have also good momentum, so I think I did well. And Kwan, you were facing up against Rascal, and Kingzone was rising throughout the second round, so were you worried about it? Well, we have a longer time to prepare compared to Kingzone, and we did expect Kingzone to come up to the round 2, so it was a bit easier for us to prepare. And Kwan, some people say where there is Kwan, there is a victory, because when you were in Kingzone, Kingzone won, and now you're in SK Telecom, and now SK Telecom is winning. Do you agree with that? Well, I mean, it just happened naturally because all my teammates were doing so well in my team. But I believe I do have a lot of credit in it. Teddy, I thought you're giving him the eyes. Do you agree? I do agree. So game number 1 and 2. Actually, you had a little bit of a struggle in the early game, but you were able to turn the game around. How were you able to do that? So game 1 and 2, I don't really remember exactly, but game 2, we had the composition where we can have a bit of a hard time in the early game, but we will be able to win the late game, so I had confidence. And you know, also, game 1 was really close, and Kingzone is also a really good team, so I told my teammates, let's just keep focused. Because we have a lot of experience in best of 5, FLICKR, Mara, and all the coaching staff, so I think all the 5 players were doing well. Haha. You told me that you don't really remember well, so Teddy, you stole the Baron in the game. So what was going on? Well, we saw the damage dealers trying Baron there. So we were actually trying to make a 2-4 fight. But actually in the late game, Varus has a really huge damage, even bigger than the Smite, so I was able to pull that off. And Kwan, you just said, after the Griffin series in round 2, you always look at the Tarzan's picture and keep motivated. No, not really. I'm just trying to find new emotion. And Cuz was playing Vi, Camille, which is not a mainstream champion. How was it? It wasn't really tricky for me. Those are actually viable. So it wasn't really hard. Game 3. How was game 3? Were you satisfied? I think I am satisfied. You know, we won the game. So overall, I am satisfied. You played Kojic because they were banning out Lee Sin away from you, and they took J4 away from you. Well, we had a longer time to prepare, so we were all ready for that. And Quiz, this is your first split in LCK, and if you win the finals, you are gonna be the Royal Roader. I have been playing in LPL, and this is my new challenge, so I do want to get that title. So I'm going to do my best up until the finals. Moving on to FLICKR, as a team captain, you were leading this team really well. Do you feel extra pressure? Well, the final. It's not an opportunity for everybody, so we were able to be the one at the finals. And what really matters is not winning this playoff round 2, it's winning the finals, so we're going to prepare as hard as we can. And that rivalry around Ju and Pon, the historic rival in LCK, how was the mid-lane competition? Well, we have a really decent match record up against Kingzone, so... Well, about the mid competition, I wasn't really paying too much attention. I just wanted to concentrate on the competition as a whole team, as a whole unit. And up in the finals, you're going to be facing Chovy. I'm really sorry to say this, but the match record is not looking good. Do you feel a little bit of a concern? Well, at the finals, I'm really confident.
Jovi has been doing really well throughout the splits, but at the finals, I think I'm winnable. I think that he will be winnable. And you only dropped one series at finals, LCK finals, and that opponent was Kingzone. And today you took down Kingzone. So, are you feeling extra confident at the finals? Yes, I am.
제가 괜한 얘기를 꺼내고 아닌가. 네, 죄송한 말씀 먼저 드리겠습니다. 자, 그리고 테디 선수 오늘 1, 2세트 MVP 차지하시고
the MVP of game number 2 and 1. And you said you were confident with your play, so.
준비돼 있던 픽이었나요?
And did you prepare this various rom-com position? I mean, we did various preparations. I thought it was a really good pick. I really wanted to play this, and I think I did really well in game. So I'm really happy right now. And you are the icon of the long games. And you saw great focus in the very late game, so how are you able to do that? Well, I gain more confidence in the late games, and I do want to carry games. So I think due to some enhanced confidence in the late games, I think I'm able to perform better in late games. I heard you're very loud in the gaming house, but you look really serious in game. What's the difference? In the gaming house, I'm Teddy who let everything down. I mean, like I feel really free, but at the stadium, I'm like more serious Teddy. And you're calling everybody honey. Who's your honey today? Obviously, my support Mara. So, the official sweetheart of Teddy, Mara. You are the back-to-back finalist this year. So, how do you feel about that? Personally, I have a long career as a pro player, but I haven't been to finals for many times. So I really want this win. And last year, I was in KT Roster, and I had a really good experience up against Griffin. So I just want to capitalize on that and maybe bring some good results for my team. So we all have the lucky charms, Khan and Mara, so I think I have a very good feeling around you. And you were able to block the auto with your shield in game 2. I thought that was really 1 HP. So I was like, I really need to protect that. So, see that? I pulled that shield really hard. That was 9 HP, and you know you are a very well-known player with the 9 meme. So, that was one of the outplays of today. Did you have the confidence to block that auto? So I wasn't really confident, but I just really wanted to block it. If we lose that turret, I knew that we were going to lose, so I was so desperate. As you just mentioned, you're seeing Griffin again at the finals, and you have the experience of taking them down at the finals. So will it be easier today, this year? I cannot say it's going to be easier, but my teammates, they're really good, so if we prepare enough and well, and we are on a really good momentum, but Griffin has been really shaky in the round 2, so I think it's very winnable. It was a very clean and perfect performance on the SK Telecom sound, and there are a lot of fans out here, a full house at the Low Park, so lastly, would you like to send them a message? FLICKR? I'm really happy that we were able to pick up the 3-0 victory. I want to share this credit with my fans, and we're gonna be seeing Griffin at the finals, and I really want this win. See you guys at Jamsil, the final stadium, and this will be the end of the interview with SK Telecom players, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for that wonderful translation. Lots of people to interview, so it must have been pretty challenging. But yeah, that's the final, Griffin versus SKT. It's kind of what people were expecting.
Yeah.
And we're going to have 5 games of those 2 awesome teams going head-to-head of course, on this coming Saturday in Jamsil. So you do not want to miss that. Set your alarms. It'll be at the same time, but at a different place.
Look at this. It's been 3-game series all throughout playoffs. What a coincidence.
What?
You know what? You left me hanging once again. We're not
clicking.
No, we're not really clicking. I wish that 4/13 was a Friday so we could say that it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Well.
3-game series all throughout, but we're not getting that.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I understand now.
I'm done.
Yeah, you are done.
I am done. Gas is done.
There you go. Graven versus SKT. You guys don't want to miss it. Of course, this is going to be my last cast. Atlas will be joining you guys there for that last one. So thank you for
spoilering it.
Supporting me. I thought, you know, people should know. Supporting us here. It's been a long season, of course. I will be watching in the audience for that amazing final. So can't wait.
It will be a TriCast.
Yes, it will. Didn't want to spoil that, but, you know, there you go.
What do you mean? I thought you were giving it away.
Reading you guys the script right away. As, yes, it will be a TriCast, actually. LS and Papa will be joining Atlas there on the desk. Should be a fun one. Can't wait to see how that is going to go. But that's going to do it for us here today. It was a bit of a quicker one, 3-0. Any final thoughts, LS, going into the final?
I'm just looking forward to the finals.
Should be should be a really awesome one, guys. So you guys definitely do not want to miss it. Thank you once again for watching. We love you. Good night.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning. Together we'll be winning. With you I'm a 7.
형들 나 너무 고마워. 나이스.